Okay. 93.
Once you're checking their cards.
Yeah, Nick Castellanos.
Call tax relief helpers right now. I copy.
Boston will inbound, down by a point. Sixers need to stop. Simon's playing in. He goes to Pritchard. Pritchard fakes, shoots. It's in the air, no good. The Sixers hold off and beat the Boston Celtics. Final 117-116. The Sixers win by 1.
There was some space there for him to shoot. I think there was some guys were penetrating into some gaps, and he was kind of spaced out there a lot. He got 13 threes up, probably about the right amount, but maybe even more, just considering seemed like there was opportunities for him. Yeah, I think he took some drives. I think again, it's certainly a great start, but you just know there's like tons of room, different things he needs to do. I'd like him to be a little more aggressive in the open floor. I think he's really got that in his game.
As heard on 97.3 ESPN, Tom McGinnis on the call. Sixers hold off the Celtics last night on a historic night from V.J. Edgecombe. The rookie, the third overall pick in the draft, makes history last night. He's the third highest scorer in the history of the NBA for his rookie performance and he helps the Sixers beat the Celtics on the road, 117-116. You heard it right here on 97.3 ESPN last night. And listen, there's so much to break down from the game. The Sixers, that's a game they lost, I don't know, about 200 times in the last 10 years, right? How many times do they go on the road and lose a game like that? And the next day you're thinking, same Sixers, same old this, same old that. And listen, I don't know that them winning that game last night changed anybody's thoughts about this team. But if you can't be excited about good old number 77, and by the way, his backcourt mate, some guy named Maxey, had a pretty good game last night. The fact that he scored 40 kind of got overshadowed by everything that happened in the game last night. But Maxey had 40. Edgecombe with a 34-point night. It was a historic night for him, and the Sixers win. But listen, there was a lot that we could dive into in the game. I'm sure most people don't care that they won and are more focused on Joel Embiid not having a good game last night. And quite frankly, he was non-existent last night. I did not know that he was on a minute restriction last night. So I don't know that they told anybody that. Apparently he was on a minute restriction last night, but he was a non-factor in the game. However, what I said yesterday on the show was the Sixers are at a point where Embiid and George are now kind of going into complementary roles, and this is a team that is going to focus on their guards. And if you remember, I said this is a team that might be fine even without Joel and Paul George. Now, they need Joel to be the version of Joel Embiid that won the MVP to win a championship. I'm not here to tell you they're going to win a championship. What I said is they're going to be pretty good as long as Joel's healthy and Paul George gets back. They could be really, really good. But you saw why I thought that last night. They're going to need Joel Embiid to be better than the guy he was last night. He was a non-factor in the game last night. But you saw why I thought they would be pretty good if Joel's healthy. If you get a version of Joel Embiid that we're used to, coupled with the fact that you got two guards that can score, plus Grimes. And by the way, they won that game on the road last night without three rotational players. You're not playing. By the way, you really had four rotational players not playing last night. Because Joel Embiid played 19. What did he play last night? 20 minutes, I think, and was a non-factor. He was 1 of 9 from the field. And quite frankly, the team was fine, and then they tried to get him involved, and everything got really stagnant in the game. The offense just got stagnant, and everything was just kind of like a mess when he was out there. So once they got him off the floor, the team actually flourished a little bit more. And that doesn't mean, oh, no, Joel stinks and the team. No, Joel played for the first time in 8 months last night. Now, I will say this. I thought he looked better in the preseason game than he looked last night for whatever reason. He did not look good last night. No one's sugarcoating that at all. He did not look good last night. And then is it concerning? We'll see how he looks in a month from now. Like, if you're still looking at him and he's still playing what he played last night, 1 of 9 from the field, he took every shot was a perimeter shot. He did not take one shot from the paint last night. Read into that what you will. I think the win for the Sixers last night was VJ Edgecombe winning a game that they lose every single time, especially against a team that they lose against every single time. Embiid played 20 minutes last night, and you won that game. So think about that. Here's a game where Joel Embiid essentially did nothing for you except for, he negatively impacted that game. If you want to say anything, you could say he negatively impacted that game last night, and you found a way to win. There was a couple things, and I said yesterday, this team's going to be pretty good if Embiid is healthy. If they can get Embiid to get back to some health here, the game last night was okay, get out there, run up and down the floor, let's see how you handle that. And he was a non-factor, and they still won the game. Why? Edgecombe, Maxey, I thought Grimes made a big shot late in the game. They have 3 guys that can score there. Oubre hit that big 3 late in the game to finally give them the 112-111 lead. But they got, and I talked about this in the offseason, there's guys that they added on this team that not a lot of people who are going to be aware of because so many people are down on the Sixers, which is fair. The kid Barlow, I mentioned him last week. If you listen to our podcast, Trust the Mics, Michael Kaskey-Blomain, he's going to join me tonight at 5:30. We talked about Barlow as a guy who is an energy guy, a guy that will grab some rebounds, a guy that will, do all the dirty work. Well, Barlow played 34 minutes in the game last night. You might have been watching that game last night thinking, who the heck is Dominic Barlow? Well, they got Barlow and the kid Watford, who did not play last night, but Watford, McCain, and George are 3 rotational players that they did not have last night. Paul George obviously will eat up about 30 minutes a game. I'm not sure how they're going to handle Jared McCain when he comes back, because you got Maxey and Edgecombe and then Grimes, and then you got to find minutes for McCain somewhere in there too. That's going to be a challenge that they're going to have to figure out. And then you have Trent Watford when he comes back. I think he's a rotational player too. So they're going to have to figure out where McCain fits in with what they have. But they got those 2 guards right now, and I said last week on the show, really, those 2 guards are going to keep you involved in a lot of games. If they can get Joel to play and back to speed and be the guy that can be the guy that's been the guy who hits that shot at the elbow, gets to the free throw line, and where they really need Joel to excel is on the defensive end. That's where they really were lacking last night, late in the game. When you don't have Joel Embiid in the paint, that is a big spot where you need to try to figure out a way to get him on the floor, even if Joel Embiid is what the Celtics had last night, just a guy out there catching dunks and defending. They need a rim protector. You can't play the whole season with Barlow playing center in the last 2 minutes of a game. So I'm very intrigued on the big picture of last night's game in terms of they won a game where Joel Embiid was basically a complete non-factor. That should give people some excitement because, I don't know, do you watch that game and see Embiid? I imagine people saw Embiid last night and think he's a shot fighter. Now, if you watch him in the preseason game on Friday night, you would say, what the heck happened to that guy? Like, why last night was he such a different player than the guy on Friday night? I don't know. I mean, the guy on Friday night had 14 points, 7 rebounds, 8 assists. There's a way to work Joel in. There's a way to get him to be a factor on this team. And I think you're going to – obviously, they're going to need to because you can't just say, hey, Joel Embiid, you're not playing. Last night, though, I didn't realize he was on a 20-minute restriction. Did they announce that at some point?
They did, yeah.
Before
the game.
Okay, I must have missed
But you wonder in the fourth quarter, was his minutes out or Nick Nurse just decided not to play him? Did he have more minutes left in him?
No, well, they said 20 minutes, and he played 20 last night.
Okay.
So he played 20 minutes. He was 1 of 9 from the field. He was 0 for 4 from three-point range. He had 4 rebounds, an assist, 2 turnovers, 10 points in the game. So, he got to the line 4 times. He made his free throws. That's another area. Late in the game, VJ Edgecombe missed those 2 free throws. You got to make those free throws. That almost cost him the game last night.
He did make 2 before that, though. That was big.
He did. No, he hit 2. Maxey hit a couple. It turned into a free throw game. Why? Because you have no rim protector down late in the game. But that's why I said if they have a healthy Embiid, and I'm saying the guy last night, that guy's not suitable enough. You need a better version than that guy. That guy last night, no good. But a healthy Embiid with the guards that you have, that's what I was talking about yesterday. The 2 guards, and obviously Edgecombe far exceeded expectations. But it shows you that he's a player. Is he going to score 34 a night? Probably not. But he hit the 3. He shot 13 threes. I think that's a number that we're all surprised by. He shot 13 threes last night. He was 7 of 8 in getting to the rim, which if you can finish at his age around the basket, that's a big help. Maxey rediscovering the three-point shot last night. I thought that was a good sign because he was, 7 of 9 from 3 last night. Edgecombe hit 6 threes last night. So there was a lot of questions on do they have enough three-point shooting. Well, last night they did. They had just enough, by the way. 609-403-0973, 609-403-0973. How is Paul George going to fit into this team? How does Jared McCain fit into this team? They still have some guys that did not play last night. Yes, Eric is watching on the YouTube channel. Do they need Embiid? They played better with him off the floor. They only played better with him. Come on, dude, you're a basketball guy. Do you really need to ask that question? You can see why they played better with him off the floor. Last night he wasn't himself. That last night was him just getting some run. I think that was just him kind of getting his 20 minutes, saying, hey, I'm out here. This was more of the mental thing of him not playing in 8 months and just, hey, I'm back. I got to play. I got to get involved. But I don't think he's ready to have the whole team kind of run through him yet. I think that's what that was. If you're watching that game and thinking, oh, man, Embiid's done, I would disagree.
Are you ready to turn the keys to Maxey and Edgecombe?
I think that's what that was
guys
last night, though. That's them saying,
change your identity.
Exactly. We don't need Embiid to run everything through anywhere. You know what? Because I would say this in years past. The Sixers would go through a training camp putting in an offense that's all centered around Embiid. And then Embiid gets hurt, and then you can't run that offense anymore. And then the guy who fills in for Embiid is nowhere near what Embiid is. So now you have a team that's just like upside down. They put in an offense that is centered around the other guys, and it just involves Embiid. Because if you see what they're doing, it's a lot of movement, it's a lot of dribble handoff, it's a lot of Embiid setting picks at the high post. Embiid is not going to be a factor in the low post, I would imagine, because they're going to try to keep him healthy.
It's also a lot of get the rebound and go. Just go.
It's just getting up the floor,
and
I talked about
just,
it yesterday. One of the things that they have lacked since Ben Simmons has been here has been the long rebounders, and that's where VJ Edgecombe impressed me, was he's a little guy, but he's getting rebounds, and then they're starting to break.
Yeah.
You know, a guy that gets that rebound and then is able to put the ball on the floor and then turn and get the break started. They have the 4 guards out there, and that was something. When you have Embiid, you're now basically saying, hey, you're going to be a guy that's picking and popping and DHOing at the top of the key, and you saw how many open looks that he was getting, and then eventually he's going to step into those open looks, and he's going to be shooting those open looks over, right into that elbow, the top of the key, the free throw circles. He'll catch the ball, take a dribble in, and bang. That thing is going to be wide open for him all season long if they're going to continue to run this offense. That's why I look at Embiid last night and have no concern about them being better without him, because he really wasn't himself, but I could see that they're running the offense not dependent on him. That's your difference. Where in the past, the offense was all dependent on him.
Well, Mike, as we talked about this before, which is it's the idea that, you look at teams like Oklahoma City, you look at teams like the Minnesota Timberwolves, you look at teams like the Rockets, and all these teams now, their teams are being built around 3-4 guys who are all guards and wings, and then one guy who can protect the rim. That's basically where the NBA is going, and Edgecombe and Maxey and Grimes fit that mold perfectly.
Yeah, and their guy that happens to protect the rim is also probably their best, overall scorer. Just, but they're basically saying to Joel, hey, listen, we're not asking you to be a 35-point game scorer right now.
Right.
We'll let the other guys do that. They'll work around you. And then once they work around you enough, that should open more things up for you.
Defensively is where I'm kind of concerned with Embiid, though.
He looked slow last night. He was
Lateral
tough
movement.
Getting around. Absolutely.
He didn't really want to go out to the perimeter and guard his guy a couple times. So defensively, that's where I think maybe he might be impacted.
It could be. And listen, if last night's the best version of him that you're going to get, that's not good enough, and that would be, unfortunate. Like you would say, now we're stuck with this guy, and he's a net negative. If that's the best version of him, if you're judging him off last night and saying that's the best version of him that you're going to get, I would think that that's not good enough. No, I wouldn't think that's not good enough.
I mean, the expectations, to me, personally, I'm okay with that. My expectations right now are so low that even if they lost that game last night, that shot goes in, I'm happy today with what I saw from Edgecombe and Maxey.
Well, what you saw from Edgecombe and Maxey, you would say, yeah, I'm happy with that. But my question would be, is what you saw from those two, and then are you looking at it as Embiid's shot, or are you looking at it as saying, hey, he was out there, and he's only going to be better?
He clearly wasn't ready.
I'm surprised. I think most people were surprised he was even cleared to play. That's number one. So the fact that you're surprised that he's even cleared to play, you can't go from being surprised that he's cleared to play to being like, well, he sucked last night. I mean, like, you were surprised he was even out there.
Right, and when he's not out there, we talked about the guys who have to come in and fill in for him. Andre Drummond can't do that. Dembona's kind of too small to do that. So it's a different team, obviously. But, I mean, what Edgecombe and Maxey did last night, man.
Let's talk. Let's look at what those two guys
I'm
last
sixered
night.
up.
Oh, boy. Here we go.
And you know what? Again, they could have lost that game last night. They almost did. Tatum probably, wins that game for him last night if he's playing. But I'm sixered up, man.
Well, keep in mind, they were out. Tatum's out for them. They're Horford's not here anymore. They don't have Porzingis anymore. They're a lesser team, no question. Philadelphia last night's playing without 3 rotational players, and then a Joel Embiid that's really not, the version of him that you hope you're going to get. I think the Sixers are easing him into this season just to kind of get him out there and get him into the flow of what this offense is now going to be. And you saw last night, I mean, even though he didn't make a big impact, he was 1 for 9 on shots, but you saw the impact that he made for the others. Like the screens that he's setting, high screens, allowing Maxey. There's a reason why VJ Edgecombe and Maxey are getting these open looks. Now you might say, well, I didn't pay the guy to be a screen setter. Well, that might be the role that he has in this offense. But I think the Sixers are just saying, you know what? He's out there. He's healthy. Let's just ease him back in here, have him be this kind of high post, dribble handoff. That'll get him some open looks from his favorite spot on the floor, and he shouldn't be down getting beat up and pounded on and tangled up and falling on the floor. Just kind of keep him around the circle, the free throw line extended, the elbows, let him hit those little shots there. And as the season goes on, he's just going to keep getting open looks from there, open looks from there. And then hopefully for the back end of the season, he's healthy enough that you can expand what he does offensively.
And that's okay, too. If he's going to buy into that and PG's going to buy into Maxey and Edgecombe really having their offense run through those two guys, that's okay.
Jeff says Embiid was a team worst, minus 16 last night.
Awful.
Very disappointing. I'm hoping he plays 40 games. Well, Jeff, the minus 16, I would agree with you. Part of the reason why is I thought defensively, laterally, he had a rough night. He was not.
He was bullied by Jaylen Brown. One shot from Brown. He got bullied.
Which is
Pretty
weird
bad.
because for the people who watched him in the preseason game on Friday night, he was much more active than he was last night. I don't know what happened to him last night. That was a weird situation.
Now, to me, I mean, the young guys that I saw last night, Barlow you mentioned, the other kid Walker, those two-way guys, they are the energy that they're bringing. It's all because of the young guys, right? I mean,
well, you could see right off the bat, Edgecombe means business.
right, and the other guys are following Edgecombe and Maxey, whereas before Embiid, he was the guy where you kind of dragged the team down a little bit.
Embiid last night was a non-factor in the game, and one of the things that was evident was the energy when he was off the floor.
Energy, right.
Yep. When he was off the floor, the team had a little extra giddy up, a little extra jump. So
And that's
Edgecombe,
the young guys. That's all because of those two young guys.
well, we know Maxey exudes all that. He is a joy to watch. Edgecombe last night, I mean, he was yelling at guys, defend ball. Like, you saw him yelling at guys, defend the ball, defend the ball, defend the ball. He was everything you would hope that you would get when you draft a guy at number 3 that you're hoping will turn around your franchise and kind of turn that frown upside down. Here you go. 34 points for Edgecombe, 40 for Maxey. 74 points the two guys had last night. Edgecombe had 34. It's the most in an NBA debut since Wilt Chamberlain in 1950. We're talking about VJ Edgecombe and Wilt Chamberlain in the same conversation. He was 7 of 8 in the paint, 5 of 5 on shots within 3 feet of the basket. And per NBA Genius, the only blemish he had last night was the 2 missed free throws late in the game. That was the only 2 shots that he missed within 10 feet of the basket. Maxey had 40 points. He tied Hal Greer for the most points in the season opener in franchise history. Together, their 74 points were the second most in an opener in NBA history. That's what you got last night. You won a game on the road against the Celtics in which Joel Embiid played 20 minutes and went 1 for 9. I would say today the feeling should be, hey, man, all right. That should be the story. Edgecombe's the story, but I think the story of the team, the big picture is, hey, what Mike Gill said yesterday might be actually accurate. I said, as long as Embiid is somewhat healthy and plays like 60 games, this team's going to be pretty good. Not because of Embiid, because of the guards they have.
And
they finally have an offense that is tailored around the other players, not Joel.
And not just pretty good, but fun to watch. That's what we didn't have last year when you lose almost 60 games. You're going to have fun watching this team this year, I think.
Well, if you watch VJ Edgecombe and didn't have fun last night, and wait till McCain gets back.
Yeah.
McCain is a joy to watch. I'm interested to see how he fits into this. How does Jared McCain fit in when he's back? Paul George didn't play last night. Sixers win. Sports Bass Live. We are at the Tropicana in Atlantic City. Chickies and Pete's, go where the players go. The A.J. Brown Sweet Heat Hot Wings are here. You can get them at this Chickies and Pete's, the Garage 62. Jason Kelsey, beer and a burger. Get that right here
that sounds
at
good,
Chickies
actually.
and Pete's. You already ate.
Yeah, I know.
You going to put in a second?
Maybe I should.
Sports Bass Live, 97.3 ESPN. Hey, your text messages, 609-403-0973. Reaction to the Sixers win last night. VJ Edgecombe, does that stand out more, or does Embiid's lack of really anything in the game last night stick out more? The win with Edgecombe or Embiid? What sticks out more from that win last night for the Sixers over the Celtics? More Sports Bash coming up. Flyers Senators tonight. We got that over on Rock 104.1. We got the football game tonight on 97.3 ESPN. Vikings and Chargers. I'm in. I'll be flipping back and forth. Although Amazon Prime and Flyers on NBC Philadelphia, so that's kind of a pain in the butt. But we'll figure it out. We'll get it going. Flyers Senators tonight. You can watch the games all here. Chickies and Pete's tonight. I'll tell you what. The season's cruising along. We're 8 weeks in. We got a good one tonight. Vikings and Chargers.
More Carson Wentz. Nice.
Yes, Carson Wentz will start the game tonight.
Maybe we'll see a pick six again, or a backward pass, or intentional grounding.
By the way,
bobbled snap that goes back 20 yards.
We're going to talk a little bit about this a little bit later on. Dave Dombrowski on Foul Territory, talking about the Bryce Harper comments. Going to have to get those a little bit later on in the show. Also, Michael Kaskey-Blomain will join me to talk some Sixers at 5:30 tonight. We got one thought every game. Let's get the text messages, though, Josh. I think there's a lot of text messages coming in for the Sixers win last night. I'm interested to see, are people more focused on VJ, Edgecombe, and Maxey and them winning despite Embiid, or are people more focused on the fact that Embiid did not contribute, and is that the big focus?
It seems to be a mixed bag, so we'll kind of rattle through these as much as possible. 609-403-0973. Cole from LBI says, looks like Joel Embiid is somebody that can only play 2 games a week. I'd sit him the first half of the season for the rest of his career and then use him as a second-half player, ramp him up for a postseason run.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, if that's how you want, I wouldn't put any restrictions on anything. Like, if he could play 2 nights, 2. If he could play 3, 3. I don't like absolutes. I don't need to have absolutes on anything. Like, I don't need an 85 pitch count. What if I could throw 95, right? What if I'm cruising along and I can throw 105? Why limit me to 85 when I can throw 105? It's like what Vic Fangio said the other day. Fangio said what was the word that he used? The fatigue police?
Yes.
What about
no,
BG?
the snap count police.
I thought he said the fatigue police. I got to bring that up. The
snap count police is great.
I thought he said the fatigue police.
Well, he was talking specifically about what happened with him with Khalil Mack. That was the example he was using.
Yeah, he brought up the when Khalil Mack, because he was getting asked about Brandon
BG,
Graham.
right?
Yeah. So he said, let's see. Yeah, there he is. He says, I don't know. He's coming out of retirement. He's older. But when I was in Chicago, we traded for Khalil Mack, who missed the entire training camp. And the fatigue police said he can only play about 20 to 22 snaps in this game because we got him in that week of the first game. He says, okay. And then he played 45 snaps. So, exactly. It's just an arbitrary number of, like, you can play this many snaps. Why? What if I feel like I could play, like, if I play, you tell me 20 and I play 25, what's going to happen? Like, that kind of stuff drives me nuts. So, Cole and LBI, I get your premise, but if Joel says before the game, I can play, I'm fine, but I always said, like, minute restrictions. Okay, he has a 20-minute restriction. Like, what if he could play 25? Like, what if he hit 20 and he's like, I'm playing well, I can play 25? Like, that kind of stuff just bothers me.
I mean, if Embiid was playing well last night, I think you'd see him in the fourth quarter, right?
I was wondering, like, I thought it was, like, pretty, like, I thought Nick Nurse was showing some stones not playing him late in that game. I'm like, wow, he's really not going back to Embiid here. But I didn't realize there was a minute restriction. That I missed.
Some more text to get to here. John in Buna says, hey, Mike, you and your boys need to pump the brakes. It's just one win. Please, says John in Buna.
I agree, John.
I mean, it's not the point.
It's not the point, number one, but I do agree with John. I said before, yesterday I said the team was going to be good, and people are like, you're delusional. What is wrong with saying they might be good? What is good? Is good 45 wins, 46 wins, 47 wins? Like, what is your interpretation of good? I didn't say they were going to win the championship. I didn't say they're going to be the number 1 seed. I said the team's going to be good. What is good? What is your interpretation of good, John and Buna? Go hit the Buna Connection Factory. Sounds like you've been there too early today. I mean, because no one's getting crazy about the fact that they won. It's, hey, they drafted a guy number 3 overall, and a lot of times in the NBA, there's busts. This guy doesn't look like a bust. That's what I'm excited about. Embiid, I thought, was inconsequential last night, and they won a game. You know how many times they won with Joel Embiid off the floor last year? What
Almost
were they?
Never.
What was their record without? What's their record without Joel Embiid? To win a game when he does not factor in, yeah, I'm sorry. I felt like that was good. Do I
on
think
the road at Boston, by the way?
Another good point. So, John, have a Backroads IPA for me at Buna Connection.
We got a text from Phil checking in from Texas. Philip says, Mike,
Horns down. Horns down.
Mike says, Mike VJ looked like a superstar in the making, hoping Joel needs some time to get his game legs. But wow, VJ and Maxey, let's go. That's Philip in Texas.
All great points. They
By the
won
way,
the game
Austin, Texas, so it's horns up, not horns down.
No, for me, it's always horns down.
It's all relative.
Yeah. There's no horns
It's not
up.
relative. You'll get you do that in the wrong place, you're gonna get jumped.
I think I'm safe here. Yeah, everything he said is right. They won a game last night where Joel was a non-factor because they now have the personnel to help them win a game. They don't have to have Joel be Joel Embiid. They can have Joel Embiid just be a presence. They don't now to win a title. Okay, if they want to win an NBA championship this year, which I think is extremely far-fetched,
And that's okay.
that's okay. But if their path to winning a title is those two guards maturing throughout the course of the year together, then McCain having Paul George healthy, the role players excelling in their roles, and then having Joel Embiid play at a MVP level, which I'm not sure he can get to that level. I'm not ruling it out, but I'm not going to be John and Buna and saying, take your pants off up there. Just let the freaking season materialize. Why do you have to be miserable the first game in?
Because some people are just miserable.
I get it, man. I see it all the time. People that are miserable, they are depressing me.
That's what I was saying. I mean, people wanted Ace Bailey. People wanted Sixers to trade back.
Ace Bailey played 20 minutes last night and had 2 points.
So good on Morey taking the best player available, which was VJ Edgecombe at the time, and it was a great day.
And listen, I'm not going to sit here and say that it's even fair to say that Edgecombe is better than Bailey. It's only been one game.
Well, you
Right.
can't react too much because Cooper Flag didn't look good last night either. No one's jumping on radio shows saying
Absolutely,
Cooper
but
Flag is a
during
bust
the
today.
draft at the time, people did want the Sixers to trade back. Did
Well,
they
some
not?
people wanted, not everybody. I
They
think
wanted
there
Ace
was
Bailey
there
no
was a
matter
healthy there was a healthy debate about that.
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying, though, Pete. You're right.
Yeah.
People thought that Bailey was the better player because people didn't know Edgecombe as much. How about this? Yesterday when we were doing the show, we were talking to Paul Hudrick, and at that time, Edgecombe was plus 1,000 to win the Rookie of the Year. Do you know what he is now?
It's got to be. Well, actually, today's maybe not a good day to talk about gambling props, but maybe plus 700, 600.
He's plus 200.
Wow.
Plus 200 on that game last night.
And then Saturday night, if he scores 5 points, it's going to go back up.
So you should have jumped on it yesterday is the
Right.
moral of the story. What else we got?
By the way, Joel Embiid all-time, the 76ers have a 39% winning percentage without Joel Embiid.
They've won 39% of their games without Joel Embiid. Not good.
Yeah, since 2016, just to give folks a little context there. Andrew Summers' point says, the Embiid stuff sticks out, but we are a fast, young, and he's last to get to the other side of the court. He will hold this team back with his lackluster ball handling. If it wasn't for the fouls being called, he could have lost the ball last night a few more times. Any big man can give what we saw last night from Embiid. That's Andrew Summers' point.
Andrew, don't be miserable. That's my answer to Andrew. I'm done with people being just miserable bleeps.
Yeah, why do you have to be so miserable about it today?
I get it. Life sucks out there right now. I'm not going to debate that. This world's a piece of garbage. However, don't have to be a part of it. You know what? I watched the game last night. I was entertained. I like what I saw. 77 was fun. 0 was fun. 21 was not. They won the game. I'm going to be happy. You know why? It's opening night. Let me complain in April when they get knocked out and they're not good enough. That's when I'll complain more.
By the way, I do have a funny text for you guys at 609. It's not about the Sixers.
If it's negative, I don't want to hear it. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, you better get off the internet, Pete, then. Mike in Northfield has a question. He says, hey, guys, quick question about the A.J. Brown wings at Chickies. Does someone come by after you've ordered and complain you didn't order enough of them? I just want to know how authentic they truly are at Chickies. Mike in Northfield.
I've had them before. I
They
actually
are
like
good.
them.
Yes.
Yeah. The sweet heat. It's like a tangy buffalo sauce.
But does anybody come by and complain after you ordered them?
No, normally when we're here, people are very nice and pleasant.
Only on social media.
Yeah. It's just the people on the text board that are just miserable. I don't know how you live with yourself as miserable as some of these people are.
Let's get one more in here. Monday Marcus chimes in. Says, last night it all boils down to defense in the fourth quarter. I just wondered last night if they could hold that game. You get a bucket from these guys, VJ, Maxey, Oubre. If Paul George upon can return, then Embiid can get back to the foul line and get free throws. Now they have a team unlike some of the stars in the West.
Well, that's the thing, is they have the pieces now of they don't need Embiid to carry them. In the past, they had to have Embiid carry them, and then they needed the second guy. They've never been able to find a suitable second guy to step up. One year it's Ben Simmons, and then he, obviously had his issues. The year that Jimmy Butler took over, they were right there with Toronto and lost in the seventh game. That team was probably good enough to win a title.
James Harden teams.
The James Harden team, they would have Embiid and Harden, and then Harden would have a 50-point game, and then in big games he would not show up. So you never had the consistency. That's what I'm saying. We don't know what the playoffs are going to look like. The question is can this team show enough over the 80? Like, you're at a point now where it used to be, I just want to get to the playoffs. I'll only believe you when you get to the playoffs. Now you have an 82-game season where you can kind of evaluate, like, hey, look at Edgecombe. Hey, what's McCain going to do? How does Grimes fit in? Where are you going to do with Paul George when he's back? Who starts the, because now you have legitimate questions of talent. Something you have lacked, talent and depth. This team has some depth. They have some talent. The biggest problem is to win a title, which is what everybody out there listening wants. You don't care about, I know people won't care if they win 60 games. People out there don't care if they're the number 4 seed with 48 wins. You only care if they win the title, which is fine. But that's not what this season is really about. So you got to change your expectations. You want to win a title, then fine, be negative Nancy. But if you want to see the team kind of grow with these young guards, that's what they have built. And the people who just hate Morey and think he's an idiot and just absolutely has, ruined the team, he has built a really good roster here. The sad part is, yes, the 2 stars are the highest paid players on this team. And that brings everybody down. But if the rest of this roster, he's really put together a good team. He's drafted really well and has put together a very solid complementary base of players around him. All right, more text messages coming up. 609-403-0973. Chuck Adell is 6-1. He had another winner last week, Pete.
Oh, man.
Another winner last week. 6-1 on the picks. We'll see which pick he gives us this week. I'm going to have to keep playing this pick. You know why? Because I'm not going to stay miserable like everybody out there. Give me free picks. Give me free money. I like it. I like all the stuff that we do for the people around here. This is a no miserable zone. PG, get your tickets for the Sixer game Saturday night?
Me and Earnshaw are going.
LNC?
We are confirmed.
Wow.
We're going to get that free T-shirt. We're going to do a little maybe socializing at the Stateside Live before the game.
I like you to put that out there for the listeners. Who's going to that Sixer game on Saturday? Meet up with PG and Nuggets.
It's going to be a good time. It's going to be a positive, fun time and a fun game.
All right, let's get the free pick coming up on the other side. Stick around. More Sports Batch, 97.3 ESPN Live at Chickies and Pete's. Go where the players go. We're at Tropicana, Atlantic City. 3 o'clock hour live at Chickies and Pete's. Go where the players go, and events are always better with Chickie and Pete's for your next party. Have a Crab Fi Express food truck at your next special event. Book now at chickiesandpete's.com for details and location. I'm Mike Hill. This is the Sports Bash Live. PG, my on-site producer. Josh Henning is back at the Ocean Casino Resort Studios. You out there. We're going to get some comments. Dave Dombrowski was on the Foul Territory podcast and had some interesting things to say over there. We're going to play that audio for you in about 10 minutes from now. We're going to continue with the Sixers stuff on the text board, 609-403-0973. Also, for the people out there, we got A.J. Brown did not practice today. Not good news there. It's his second day that he did not practice. He was on the injury report with a hamstring. He is not practicing again today. Yikes. Now you're getting to Thursday where he's not practicing, so we'll see the injury report when it comes out today, what it lists him as. But I would imagine that, this is going to be something we're going to need to keep an eye on. And it will be a storyline going into the weekend. If A.J. Brown cannot play, what becomes of this offense? It is already struggling. So we'll keep an eye on that. We got the text board open at 609-403-0973, 609-403-0973. You'll hear from Dave Dombrowski. He was asked on the Foul Territory podcast about his comments on Bryce Harper. You'll hear what he said in a little bit. Let's get a couple more text messages here. Let's go to this one. Chris in Delaware says, guys, the Sixers were exciting. Any chance they could just get Embiid to play average and trade him this season? The old Embiid, I can't see us ever seeing again. The future looks bright, but it's time to try and move on and end the Embiid era. Well, if he just plays average, I don't know that you're going to be able to trade him with the contract that he has. So you just better hope that Embiid can ramp up to play his best basketball when you need him the most. Like, you don't need him on opening night last night. They won without him, and that's something they don't do very often. When he doesn't play, they don't win. Last night, they won, and he didn't contribute. That's a rarity. So the hope is not that he plays average, that he ramps himself up, that he plays really good in March and in April and then hopefully May, and then hopefully that leads you into June. Like, if Joel Embiid plays half the season and your team, if he plays half the season, he's not going to be 1 from 9 from the floor. I think a lot of that, he hasn't played an NBA regular season full-speed basketball game since February of last year. So, or February of 2025, but February of last season, I should say. So, listen,
and he only played in one preseason game. And
the frustrating part, though, about the one preseason game, Pete, that he played in, he looked pretty good. He did play pretty well in that game, which was the perplexing part about it. Let me go back to that box score real quick, just to get a sense of. I know he played 19 minutes, which is about what he played last night. But what was he from the floor in that game? Yeah, he was 5 of 10, so he was at 50% from the field. He was 2 for 4 from 3, so he shot the ball better in that game. Last night he was 1 for 9, so he shot 10 shots the other night, made 5 of them. Last night he shot 9, he only made 1. He shot 4 threes on Friday night, he made 2. He shot 4 threes last night and didn't make anything. If at the end of the night he played 19 minutes and was 4 for 9 and hit 2 threes, we're probably having a little bit of a different conversation today, right?
Yeah, and you know what? To me, his shot looked kind of normal, right? Maybe they just didn't go in. Maybe.
Well, you got to imagine his
rhythm.
legs probably, the rhythm. Like, I think just the listen, I'm not sitting here sugarcoating. He was bad last night. He slowed them down. He looked like a square peg in a round hole with that group of young guards. So the question will be, can those young guards and Embiid mesh and coexist together? That's what I would wonder. That's what I would wonder moving forward here, is whatever he brought you last night, I think was more of a, hey, I'm here, I'm out there, I'm playing, I got my 20-minute run, I'm just getting my legs under me. How does my knee respond? Because luckily for them, they don't play tonight or tomorrow. They don't play again until Saturday.
And how do the complementary players react to that? Are they going to defer to Embiid? Are they going to defer to Edgecombe and Maxey now? Because you saw that last night. Guys were deferring to Edgecombe.
I think you are going to be at a point now. And this is going to be, I think, based on the opponent, too. Like, some teams are going to have the guard and the speed, maybe, to I think that's one thing that gets overlooked here is the speed that Maxey and Edgecombe have. They're going to be tough to defend. So I give Nurse some credit for putting an offense in that is centered around their speed and athleticism and not putting an offense in that is centered around getting Joel at the elbow, stalling everything, everybody sitting and watching him, waiting for the double. A lot of it is more movement, space. You have athletic guys on the wings who can catch, put the ball on the floor, catch, shoot. If you shoot the ball like you did last night, which I don't expect, Maxey 7 for 9 from 3, that's inordinate. Edgecombe has not been advertised as a great three-point shooter. He hits 5 threes last night. Those are two things that I don't think you were really expecting. So I think this is the one thing. There's a lot of people out there that just don't like Daryl Morey. They text in all the time. They message me on Twitter. They think he's the worst. They think he's awful. It's going to be hard for those people to acknowledge that he's added a lot of talent to this team. Maxey, he drafted Maxey. McCain, he drafted McCain. And he drafted Maxey in the 20s. He got McCain in the late teens. He got Edgecombe at number 3 when he could have taken Ace Bailey. He could have gone a different direction. So he has now got 3 really young, dynamic scoring players. He made the trade that ended up getting them Quentin Grimes. He's added role players like Barlow and Watford. He's added, and the role players that he added are role players that know how to be role players. Role players that are willing to be role players. So he's built himself a nice roster here. All right, let's transition over to what Dave Dombrowski said. He was getting a lot of criticism for the way that he kind of addressed Bryce Harper. And he mentioned that, he did not have an elite season. And I don't have any problem with what he said, which because he said what he said, now people are going off the rails as if, like, Harper might get traded. Maybe they're going to try to trade him. Maybe he wants to be traded. Here's what Dave Dombrowski said. This is on the Foul Territory podcast. He was asked about the comments he made about Bryce Harper.
First of all, to me, Bryce Harper is one of the best players in the game of baseball. And when I say he didn't have, they asked me, what type of year did you think he had? And I said, he had a very good year. I don't think he had an elite year. And when I say that, when I think of Bryce Harper, it's a compliment because the reality is there are, 8, 10 players in the game of baseball every year. When they're not, let's say, in the MVP consideration, for whatever reason, sometimes it can be an injury factor, sometimes they just have a bad year, but whatever, it's not an elite year for them.
So it didn't sound like he said anything different from what he said the last time, did it?
No.
He didn't have an elite year. He's like, I don't know how much more you want me to explain this. Like, it's not what he's used to. He's used to being in the MVP conversation, and he really wasn't. Like, it's not a negative on him, but that's just what he's used to.
And the numbers back it up. That's the really bottom line.
I don't know. Did you guys have – Josh, did you have a problem with what Harper Dombrowski said this time around?
No, because I think that he explains a little bit later in the conversation about how what he said was basically taken out of context and regenerated on social media as meaning something that it wasn't. Let me play the next cut, because I think the next cut kind of explains how I feel about this whole thing.
The reality is that he's a great player. He's a future Hall of Famer. This thing's got a life of its own. Now I've been reading that, the Phillies may trade Bryce Harper. That couldn't be further from the truth. We love him. I think he's a great player. He's a very important part of our team. I've seen him have better years. I look for him to have better years.
All right, well, I didn't think they were going to trade him. I thought that conversation was preposterous.
But that was that was the gist of the conversation on social media and on different rumor mills, was that what Dombrowski said, does that mean they're going to trade him? Like, that's where it really kind of it took off, because people tried to read into what Dave Dombrowski said instead of realizing that whether you like Dombrowski or not, he's pretty straightforward guy about what he thinks.
Yeah, and listen, he was saying, we'll see, he didn't have the elite year that he's used to having. Some of that was injury-related, and,
right.
Do we think that's still in him? Now, he said, that remains to be seen. He didn't come out and say, we know he's got it still in him. He did say, we'll see, but that's not, hey, we want to trade him. I will say this, and I said this with Nuggets the other day. I don't think Phillies fans would be sad. I think there's a portion of Philly fans who are kind of there's that group of people who just get tired of guys. Like they're just ready for the next thing. It's like people with Embiid. You love Embiid when he's Embiid, and now that he's 31-year-old version of Embiid, people want him gone. I could see some people saying the same with Harper because the Harper that you fell in love with is no longer that guy. Or
Right.
you perceive that he cannot be that guy anymore. So
Which
there are
means-
people that would say, oh, I would trade him if I get the opportunity to because I don't think he can be the Harper that he was when I first met him.
Which means he's a declining player, which I think we all can admit that, right?
Mm-hmm.
That what we're seeing now is a declining player.
Well,
So
Dave,
do you guys think the fans would be against moving Harper?
I would say they'd be against moving Harper if they're also moving on from Schwarber. Like, to me, it's got to be one or the other you keep. I think
To me,
that's what the fans feel.
Harper is the face of the franchise, so that kind of transcends maybe.
If they had to pick one between Harper and Schwarber, who do you think they'd pick?
Well, I'll tell you what Dave Dombrowski thinks. Dave Dombrowski says if he has to pick a player who's aging, he's going to take his chances with this guy.
I'll take my chances with Bryce more than most because Bryce is an elite talent, and he's a very, very talented individual, and he's driven. So I think that it's a shame where this has gone because it wasn't meant to be a criticism. It was just he didn't have a – to me, and when you talk about Bryce, and again, there's a few other guys, when they aren't in the MVP considerations, well, it's probably not as good a year as that they've had other times.
Well, I mean, he's saying I would keep him. Now, what we had some numbers yesterday that said, was it Scott Boras, the agent for Bryce Harper, who basically laid out all the numbers of his metrics in terms of his, exit velocity and all these like high-level metrics were all in the same conversation with some of the stars of the game. So they're saying, look, he's still hitting the ball hard, the ball's still coming off his bat, he's still, all of that stuff.
Can he still elevate the lineup, though? That's my question. Or do we need to get a player in here that will elevate the lineup?
You know who is willing to trade him? My mother. She said, that Harper, he's another problem. He strikes out all the time. But can he still elevate the lineup? I don't know, man. Hitting such a thing. Like, you hit the ball hard, but you hit it right at somebody. Like, all those numbers, and I hate metrics and all that stuff in terms of, like, living and dying by them. But there are some things that you could say that this guy is still hitting the ball on the screws. He's still hitting it right on the nose. And the percentage that you find an open spot, that's inconsequential. There's nothing you could do about that.
Well, Dombrowski did make an interesting analogy because he sees Harper aging like a former player of his in Detroit. And I want you to hear about the player, and then I want to read you off some of the stats. So here's more from Dave Dombrowski on the Foul Territory Show.
But I think what ends up happening, and this is not meant for him, and I was reading an article yesterday. It wasn't about Bryce. It was actually about Kyle Schwarber that Mike Schmidt talked about. And I thought it was so good. And I was looking back at my Miguel Cabrera days. Probably the best, as good a player that I've been around year in and year out. And got to 33. And he had won the Triple Crown. He had been the MVP 2 years in a row. And he wasn't quite the same player.
Now, he mentioned 33 years old. At 33, Miguel Cabrera had 38 home runs, 108 RBI after having a horrible year at age 32 in terms of production, but good numbers in terms of batting average on base percentage.
Was he playing the 140 games or what? How many games?
So at age 33, Cabrera played 158 games, but the year before he only played 119. The rest of Cabrera's career was like every other year he was healthy and had a good year. So is in every other year Bryce Harper having a really good year good enough?
Not really. I mean, no. You're paying the guy $300 million. You want him to be the star. You want him to, but like this year wasn't good enough. I don't think so. It wasn't awful, but it's not what you come to expect. And I think that's the whole conversation. Is if he has a year like this, is that acceptable?
Not for what you're paying him. But if Dave Dombrowski views him like Cabrera, where Cabrera basically 1 year he has 18 home runs, the next year he has 38, the next year he has 16. If he's up and down and Dombrowski thinks that's acceptable, then that's kind of a problem, right?
Yeah, I would say that's not what you signed up for. to have a guy be up and down to that level. Like, this is a down year, and he had how many homers? 25, 27, something like that?
I'll pull up the exact number.
Like McGarry said it the other day, like, he missed how many games this year? If he plays those games, he probably hits 32 to 34 homers, and we're having a whole different conversation. Like, he hit 35 homers this year.
Well, here's the thing. He finished the year with 27 home runs.
There you go, 27.
So,
and how many games did he play?
He played 132.
Right, so he missed 30 games. So in those 30 games, that's a whole nother month. Let's say he hits 5 or 6 more homers. Now he's up to 34 homers, 35 homers. If he hits 35 home runs at the end of the year, that's about what you expect from Bryce Harper. So,
Dombo's deal, his plan is to challenge Bryce Harper in the public, maybe send a little shot to his agent, Scott Boras. All of that, right? That's his plan.
You think that's what he's doing, though?
I think so. Challenging Harper.
It's a shot across the bow?
Telling Scott Boras, no, we're not going to give this dude a raise.
Well, right? I don't think that they should give him a raise.
Definitely not.
Definitely not. So that talk is done now, right?
Well, he had asked for a raise after that World Series run, and I thought that was a little early to say, like, you just signed listen, when you sign a long-term deal like that, and part of the reason why they gave him the long-term deal is because the ABV is lower. He's only making he makes $25 million a year. So his average annual salary is lower than what the superstars are getting. But that's the decision you make when you say, I want long-term 10-year security in my deal, so I'm getting $25 million a year for a long term instead of making $37 million a year for a shorter term. But for him to go and ask that soon after, it's almost like you were arrogantly saying, hey, I had a great year, now you got to pay me more, even though I accepted the long-term deal. I think that rubbed me the wrong way.
I think it rubbed everybody the wrong way because basically, you have a guy in Harper who's acting like him having a less than elite year qualifies him for a pay raise, and it's like, that's not how it works, dude.
Now, how does Harper respond? That's my question.
Ooh.
How
you
does
believe
Harper
there's
take
something
this?
happening here?
Well, I mean, how is he going to respond? Is he going to respond with a fire lit under his ass, or is he going to take it personally?
I guess the question is.
Because that is an insult. I mean, he did throw him under the bus there. No question.
But did he, though, or did he just tell the truth?
It's a brutal truth, but Harper, yeah, that is an insult.
I don't have a problem with what he said, though.
Maybe he needs to be insulted. Maybe
if I'm Bryce Harper, do I sit in my house right now and say, what the hell is Dave Dombrowski saying? I had an elite year. You think he thought he had an elite year this year?
261 batting average. Is that an elite year?
And the postseason was abysmal as well.
All the strikeouts he had. Is that an elite year?
That's what I'm saying. Do you think that Bryce Harper is so warped from reality that he thinks he had an elite year?
I would hope not.
Yeah, I don't understand why people are so, he had a great year. He didn't have an elite year, but he had a really good year. And, why is that a negative? I mean, Bryce Harper's not an imbecile. He knows he didn't have an elite year. So somebody verbalizing that, now we have to be offended by that?
Yes.
And by the way, Dombrowski mentioned he thought part of the issues this year was the wrist injury. So it's like...
Well, that whole thing I thought was weird. He had the wrist injury. And as McGarry said, the last time I checked, you need your wrist to hit. And I do agree with him. I broke my wrist, and that was pretty much the end of hitting a baseball. It's really hard to come back from a wrist injury. So anytime I hear somebody breaks a wrist or something with your hand, I always am concerned about the long-term viability of your to hit with power. Now, you can hit for average still, but to hit with power, it worries me. But when Dombrowski was asked after the season about the wrist, he said, no, 100%, no problems with the wrist. Now, he could be lying, but he could have made his excuse for Bryce right there to say, well, that thing lingered all year, and it might have affected why he played the way he did. Instead, he said, no, he didn't have an elite year, and his wrist wasn't the problem.
I mean,
by the way, I'm looking at Wembanyama from last night.
Oh,
Gee
my goodness.
Whiz.
That was, yeah.
Seems like it's unfair.
Some of those moves he was making.
Can't we have a height restriction in this league? It's like a roller coaster. You must be shorter than this line to be able to play in this league.
Yeah, just elbow him in the ribs. He'll go.
The
he'll be
guy
fine.
interviewing him, I forget who. It might have been Sedano, maybe. I mean, the height differential was just
Wow,
amazing.
The height differential between Wembayama and Embiid's amazing.
Yeah.
All right, you got any more from Dombrowski here?
Yeah, the final part was he kind of dug deeper into, because he referenced so there's an article out there where somebody interviewed Mike Schmidt, for those who don't know, and Mike Schmidt basically went on this, I don't want to say diatribe, but Schmidt basically like gave his take on like, well, when players get older, they're aging, blah, blah, blah. So Dombrowski kind of referenced back to the Schmidt comments about players aging, and he basically kind of like brought it full circle back to the Harper stuff.
Mike Schmidt's comments, because I asked him about Kyle, said, you're getting into your middle 30s, moving a little bit into your late 30s. If you can stay healthy, continue a really, really strong workout program in the off season. Your flexibility has to be there. Your bat speed obviously has to stay up. Your eyes have to stay. You've got to be able to see. I have a 20/20 vision when I played, and it's more important to get good eyesight as you go along. There's a lot of non-mechanical baseball swing issues that have to stay right. So basically, that's what happens with every player.
Does happen with every player, but that's why they start to decline.
And I think that's where like it felt like to me when you watch the whole thing without playing the cuts as we are, Mike. It felt like Dombrowski was kind of. It's not that he didn't like the question, because it was Eric Kratz, the former Phillies catcher, who asked him the question on foul territory. It was like Dombrowski was looking at it like, look, I didn't say anything wrong, so I don't know why people are reacting the way they are to me just telling you the obvious, which is Harper did not play elite, and if we are going to win, we need him to play better. Like, I think Dave Dombrowski kind of took it as, look, man, I was just telling the truth. I don't know why everybody's reacting the way they are. I like Bryce Harper. I'm happy to have him here. I'm not trading him.
Well, you could imagine that the reaction from the comment that he made the first time had everybody going crazy to one side, and now he's trying to reel it back in. I don't know that he reeled it back in today, though. I think he just said I think he reinforced it. He didn't have an elite season, and that's okay.
Basically.
Should be an interesting offseason for the Phils. By the way, World Series Friday night right here on 97.3 ESPN. You can listen to the game right here, 97.3 ESPN World Series, Game 1, Friday night. Sixers and the Hornets on Saturday. That game right here on 97.3 ESPN. Saturday night, 7:30. Tonight it's Thursday Night Football right here on 97.3 ESPN. And, of course, if you're looking for the Flyers game, that'll be on our sister station, Rock 104.1. All right, Jeff Nadu's here. There's been a huge gambling probe, by the way, in the NBA.
He's all over it. Nadu is all over this story.
Well, he joins us next with his favorite plays for the college football weekend. And we've been zipping out winners for you with the college football picks from Jeff. So we'll see what his favorite games are this weekend for the college football slate. That's next, right here, live at Chickies and Pete's in Atlantic City at the Tropicana on 97.3 ESPN. All right, we're back live at Chickies and Pete's. What's going on, everybody? Flyers tonight. You can listen to the game on Rock 104.1. We got NFL football tonight, Thursday night football. It is the 3 o'clock hour of the show, brought to you by Broadlee's Plumbing, Heating, Air Conditioning, your trusted source for heating, plumbing, service, and installation for generations. 390-3907 in the 609, online, broadlees.net. Jeff Nadu's back at Jeff Nadu on social media. You can check him out on the X platform with all his picks, plays, and thoughts. And, of course, he joins us each and every week right here on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN with his plays of the week. He's got more plays for you here, but, man, the gambling world has got a big one on their hand, Jeff Nadu. I see you're all over this one here, man. You're all over the scene. Who's in bigger trouble, Terry Rozier and his friends or Chauncey Billups and his friends?
I would say Chauncey Billups, probably.
Yeah.
Chauncey Billups was directly involved with cheating in these games. I have some exclusive information, Mike, that I'll be putting out over the next several hours on Mr. Billups. Porter's problems go back to the fact that he was playing in these games, and he got in over his head, and he had to resort to certain things that you're not allowed to do.
All right, well, obviously there's an FBI investigation going on. It's been all over the place. For people out there who want more information, follow Jeff Nadu, at Jeff Nadu. He's been putting out stuff all day. We've been following you along there and checking out everything that's going on. And obviously, I agree. I think Chauncey Billups might be in some trouble. Probably not going to coach again. Probably done.
Well, I'll tell you something that I heard about at a game Chauncey played at that was rigged. The source told me Chauncey cleaned up in the games, and he doesn't even really know how to play poker. So
right. Well, I would imagine he was kind of a plant and, was in on the joke. And now joke's probably on him. All right, we got big weekend coming up here. We're coming down the stretch. We got the once the calendar, this is the last week of October. So once the calendar flips to November, down the stretch we go. We're going to start off with a little Friday night game for the people out there. Jeff Nadu, Boise State, Nevada. A little Friday night football here for all the people out there. We got Boise State, big favorite, 3.5 touchdowns, 21.5 there, 51.5 over under for a late night Friday night snack.
Yeah, I'll lay it here with Boise, Mike. Boise's been rolling recently. This is a really big-time offense. The offense last year with Ashton Jeanty, not quite, but they're still a top 20 group, pushing 40 points a game. They're in a good predicament right now, Mike. They just got a big win against undefeated UNLV. They're kind of in the driver's seat as one of the top teams in the group of 5, and they're voting, hopefully, for a playoff spot. The one thing I know about these G5 teams like Boise, style points are important, Mike. The 56-10 wins are big. They're important. I think there's a lot of onus on Boise to win and win by margin. Nevada's the exact type of team you want to do that against. This is one of the worst offensive teams in the country. They're only averaging 16 points a game. They're dreadful. And Boise's had no problem turning it up, putting big amounts of points on the board. You look at the fact as well, Mike, 5-1 against the number this season against FBS competition. So I like this spot for Boise. I think they put a big number on the board here. I wouldn't be scared off by the 21.5. I think this is like a 51-13 type of game. I think it's a good spot for their defense to play well here as well.
All right, Boise State to play 21.5. I like that play when I saw you send that one over to me. I'm on board with Boise with you there. I'm interested in your play on Auburn and Arkansas. This one is a 12:45 Saturday special for you, so you can get your day started off with this one. Arkansas, a home favorite, 3.5, over under 56.5.
Yeah, you look at the last 4 games for Auburn, Mike. They played Oklahoma, A&M, Georgia, and Missouri, all top 15 teams. Now they get Arkansas. And I think one thing I've noticed about Auburn is they got a great defense, right? They can handle this high-level attack that Arkansas is going to throw at them. The thing about Auburn, the reason they've struggled, Mike, is the offensive line has struggled. They've given up more sacks than anyone in the country. This Arkansas team can't get to the quarterback. 99th in sacks this season. They just don't get there very often. I think Auburn has a much better go of it against a bad defense. Compared to the ones they've recently faced, they face some of the best defense in the country. Oklahoma, Georgia, A&M. Now you get an Arkansas defense that's given up 40 or more a couple of times this season. this is a must-win for Auburn. They're a team who they only have 3 wins. They need 3 more to get the ball eligibility. They have games that are winnable against Kentucky and Mercer, but you need to get this one because there's really no other winnable games. I think they have a much better shot this week, and I think they'll get there. Should see better offensive numbers from Auburn. Take the Tigers to beat Arkansas.
All right, Auburn minus 3.5, the number there for that game there. And Arkansas is actually it's Arkansas, right? Is the favorite in that game. They are the home team. So
Yep.
you like Auburn on the road.
I absolutely do. I like them as a dog here. Yeah.
Yep. So plus 3.5 for Auburn there. Nobody plays the academies better than Jeff Nadu. We got another pick for you. Florida Atlantic and Navy. Navy's favored minus 13.5. The over-under is a pretty interesting number here. I'm interested to see 61.5. Which number do you like better?
Over, Mike. Over. Navy's an over team.
Do I know you or do I know you?
Yeah, no, listen, they're one of the best offenses in the country you don't know about. They've added a passing attack into that as well. They have a quarterback, Blake Horvath. He's absolutely terrific. Navy's off a bye week here. They're facing a Florida Atlantic defense. They can't stop the pass. They can't stop the run. They give up a lot of big plays. And I always like to target the Naval Academy when they play a high-level passing attack. Their secondary is generally pretty poor, and it's no different this season. I think we see a lot of big plays in this game, a lot of 20, 30, 40-yard touchdowns. Florida Atlantic's also the fastest team in the country from a pace standpoint. I think we see plenty of points here, plenty of possessions. Don't be scared off by Navy overs this year, Mike. All you need to do is look at the Temple game. All you need to do is look at the Air Force game. This team is a high-scoring group, off a bye against a shoddy Florida Atlantic defense. Nice weather in Annapolis this week, over 61.5.
Yep, and by the way, Jeff doesn't give me his plays, just the game, so I kind of figured you were going over. I know that that Navy over looked like a good one. I like that one as well. Same conference, Temple-Tulsa. Temple last week was a dog and won. Big win last week for the Owls. They are favored 5.5 on the road this week. When was the last time you saw a Temple road favorite against Tulsa? 53.5 the number is the over-under.
Well, this is why I tell people, Mike, that one of the biggest things in college football to see success, and it's not a surprise, is hiring the right coach. Temple hadn't done it really since Matt Rule. They've finally done it. Casey Keeler is a good football coach, and we're seeing the difference here and what a good coach does for you. When you look at analytics, you look at stats, Temple really answers the call on a lot of things. They have a good offensive line. They have a lot of balance. They have some playmakers on offense. They have some opportunists on defense that can jump routes and intercept the football. They've been a really solid team. And the thing that I like about them is they're 5-1 against the spread, Mike. They've been really good in that role. They're off a blowout win last week against a bad Charlotte team. I've noticed that when they play bad opponents, they take care of business. And when they play good opponents, they're right there in football games. They beat a good UTSA team. They probably should have beat Navy. Really outside of Oklahoma, who's a top 10 team-ish. They've been pretty competitive. They beat up UMass. They beat up Howard. They beat up Charlotte. I think they beat a bad Tulsa team here. All you really have to do is lay a less than a touchdown. I think Temple gets one step closer to ball eligibility and gets a win here. And again, another spot where if Temple wants to go bowling, you can't have your eyes closed in this game. You have to win. I think they win by margin. Give me Temple by double digits.
All right, likes Temple by double digits there. You're right. Casey Keeler has kind of turned that thing around. Got the good coach in there. Of course, a lot of people remember him from his days at Rowan, right up the road from us here. All right, before we get out of here, let's go Giants-Eagles. Eagles a 7.5-point favorite in this game. They lost to the Giants 2 weeks ago, and they got out-physicaled up and down the field on both sides of the ball. But can the Giants really come into Philly and win? They haven't won in Philadelphia in 11 straight tries.
Well, Mike, if you remember last week, I played Minnesota in that game against the Eagles. And quite honestly, Mike, I should have won. I mean, Carson Wentz went to the red zone 6 times. He had 1 touchdown. He threw a pick 6. And look, they were right in the game. That's what a lot of Eagles fans aren't going to talk to you about. A lot of these beat writers, they were right in the game. They were so great. Minnesota was driving, Mike, to take the lead. I hate to tell you people, but you're not hearing it. That said, football is all about feel, especially the NFL. I think the Eagles blow the Giants out this week. People are too high on the Giants. They think they're this burgeoning team. We know who the Giants are, Mike. The Giants are what they were last week, a team up big who blew a lead to an average offense on the road. Now you have another road game here. Remember, Mike, think about the last couple of weeks of the Giants. Thursday night game, then had to go out to Denver, lost that game the way they did. Now they're going to go back home, essentially, and go down to Philadelphia for another road game. This is the spot you bet against the Giants. They get crushed here. And this is the first Eagles double-digit win this year, Mike. They're going to get Jalen Carter back. I think the offense found something last week for what it's worth. I think you see a much better go of it this week. Throw in the fact the Giants can't stop the run. I think Saquon Barkley has a big game. That Giants defense I thought was good, but they're not after last week.
Me too.
Eagles win big here.
All right, Jeff, a couple things before we go. Let's have some fun. We were debating yesterday on the show, better job, Florida or Penn State?
Florida.
Me and you agree.
And again, it's not a lot of the football sides of it. I get to live in Florida instead of State College, Pennsylvania. That's one. Number two, I think athlete-wise, Florida is – you got IMG right there. You got Montverde right there. You got some of these big programs. And this is why one thing I'll give James Franklin credit for. He was a terrific recruiter, recruiter.
Yep.
But Florida for sure.
Who wore the velour suit better, Jeff Nadu or Carmelo Anthony?
You know, I haven't seen Carmelo. I've heard about this. I give him a lot of credit for wearing it. I'm the king of tracksuits. I have nearly 80 or so. So, yeah, I'm the king of the tracksuit. So, me.
Well, the first thing I said when I saw Carmelo, was he hanging out with Nadu before? Did he realize he was on national television before the NBA, back on NBC? He shows up looking like you.
I didn't hear about it. I heard about it. I didn't see it. I mean, I got to check that out.
It was strong. A little black and gold. It was strong.
I love that.
Yeah. I thought of you. All right, everybody. If you're thinking of bets, at Jeff Nadu on Twitter X, you can see all his stuff over there, and we have a little fun here. We might have some more news coming out for you here in just a couple days. So stick around, everybody watching. Appreciate you here on the Sports Bash Live. All right, man. See ya.
See ya, Mike.
All right, Jeff Nadu, everybody. At Jeff Nadu. You can check out all his plays over there. Did you see Carmelo's tracksuit there, PG?
I did. Now, did you watch ESPN Inside the NBA last night?
I missed it.
Oh, my goodness.
I was watching the Sixers game.
That's true.
Yeah.
Those guys. Hey,
I didn't realize that last night was
you could put those guys on PBS, and it would be
Was anything different?
No.
Now, did they come on late last night and stay on late?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, after the Mavericks played. I forget who the
it was Mavericks Spurs. Yeah. I was watching that game. At halftime, that was it for me, halftime.
No, the only thing different was the ESPN, I guess. Logos, yeah.
Charles admitted he was nervous. I saw that part. That clip's been all over.
Charles Barkley looks like slim Joel Embiid out there, man.
I've seen some pictures on the internet of Embiid morphing into Ben Simmons. Fair or unfair?
That's unfair.
Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. On Sportsmanlike Moment of the Day, DiCecco has football at 4. We got the Nuggets. We got One Thought Every Game. And Michael Kaskey-Blomain joins me tonight to talk a little Sixers right here on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN.
When he plays 70-plus games, he should win the MVP, flat out. He's that good. Put him at 71 games played this year, he's the MVP. I don't know how he's not. They're going to end up being a top 6 seed if he is. He's completely unstoppable. He's now efficient, and he's now realizing it's cool that I could shoot threes, and 3 counts more than 2, breaking news. But I don't need to do that.
Evan Cohen this morning on Unsportsmanlike talking about Victor Wembanyama. We were talking about him earlier. How to play that for the Unsportsmanlike moment of the day. Brought to you by White Horse RV Center. Find fall closeout savings on 2025 and select pre-owned RV. Shop now before they're gone. White Horse RV, your RV adventure starts here. So if Wembanyama is the player we saw last night, then he would be the MVP. Right now, here's the thing. I know that last year you had an MVP winner in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He came from the best team in the league. The question will be, where are the Spurs? And he said if they're like a 6 seed, which is what they could be this season. Wembanyama last night, what he did, you were just like, you couldn't believe some of the things you were watching. It was the first time that, Evan's right, they put it all together. He put it all together last night. It was a scene, man. 125-92. Wembanyama had 40 points, 15 rebounds in the game. But it wasn't just that. He was 15 of 21, the 15 rebounds, 3 blocks, plus 31. He was doing it on both ends. And he's playing in a game where everybody's talking about Cooper Flagg. Listen, Sixers fans, you got Edgecombe. Flagg last night had 10 points on 4 of 13 shooting for the Mavericks.
And another stat for Wemby's game, 30 minutes. He only played 30 minutes, and he scores 40 and 15.
Yeah, it was a scene. I mean, he was doing stuff effortlessly, and because he's, 7'8", like, you just can't stop him.
Left shoulder fadeaways over 2 guys, dropping 40.
Is he the MVP of the league? I don't know. Let's take a look at the betting odds on that right now. What do you got? So, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who, won last year and is on the best team in the league, I would think he's the clear favorite, but let's see what they got here on the MVPs. Who do you think you got? Shai Gilgeous plus 220, Jokic plus 300.
He's always going to be up there.
Wembanyama plus 300. So, not great odds, but I mean enough to say, hey, I want to get in. Luka plus 400, Giannis plus 1,200, Anthony Edwards plus 1,800, Kate Cunningham plus 500, Durant plus 6,000, Zion Williamson plus 8,000. Are you kidding me? Joel Embiid, by the way, plus 20,000 is the highest Sixer on the list. Let's see where Maxey might be on here.
I mean, Wemby could win Defensive Player of the Year and MVP.
By the way, Paul George is plus 70,000. They're the 2 Sixers that landed on the list. I do not see Maxey on here. But Rookie of the Year right now, Edgecombe's plus 225. He went up a little bit from earlier this morning, which is kind of weird because Flagg did not play well last night. Yeah, I mean, Wembanyama, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Kate Cunningham, the young players that are now into the league. And that is one thing I took away from last night's game with the Sixers. Is all these teams have some young pieces that they're now counting on, and then it's like turning the league around. Like, look at the changeover of teams that are good. Oklahoma City's good. Houston, a couple of years ago, they were terrible. Now they're good. Detroit, a couple of years ago, they were terrible. Now they're getting good. Miami, Orlando, they've been terrible. Now they're getting good. These younger players are starting to infiltrate the league, and after taking their lumps their early couple of years in the league, now they're starting, to play together. You're getting multiple young players. The Sixers have 3-4 young players now, so they're not rebuilding, but they have young players at the same time. They're in a really interesting spot right here. But the Spurs, think about it. Wembanyama's been in the league. This is his 3rd year now. It's not like he's a rookie. He's in his 3rd year, and the team's been terrible. Well, probably not anymore. You know why? Because they've been bad, they've got good players, and now he's really, really good. That's our Unsportsmanlike moment of the day, brought to you by White Horse RV Center. Your RV adventure starts here. Find the fall closeout savings on 2025s and select pre-owned RVs. And Football at 4 is powered by the Inside the Birds podcast. It's brought to you by the Fanatic Sportsbook at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City. We're going to be there on Monday. Today, we're at Chickies and Pete's. Go where the players go. Chickies and Pete's right here at the Tropicana in Atlantic City. Big night tonight. Flyers back in action, taking on the Ottawa Senators. You can listen to that game on our sister station, Rock 104.1. The NFL is back in action tonight. Interesting game. Minnesota takes on the Chargers. And, of course, a great college football weekend. I'm looking forward to Vanderbilt and Missouri this weekend. Indiana takes on UCLA. Got a lot of college football. And then, of course, the NFL. The Eagles take on the Giants. We're looking at that game right now for Football at 4. Andrew DiCecco from the Inside the Birds podcast, InsideTheBirds.com, is back with the matchups to watch for this weekend's game. Eagles-Giants. And, Andrew, good to have you back, man. What's going on?
I'm doing well, Mike. How are you?
Always good to catch up with you. Eagles-Giants, the last time we talked about this particular game, I don't think many people thought that this was going to be much of a game. Is this game a little bit more eye-opening now? Is this Giants team a threat to come into Philadelphia and sweep the Eagles this year?
Mike, I would be shocked if that happened a second time. I don't know that anyone could have expected the Eagles to get out-muscled by the Giants on Thursday Night Football, but I have to imagine, and just kind of gauging the temperature check, it certainly seems like this team's focused and ready to get after it. The Giants don't have a wealth of options offensively. They have Jackson Dart, who I think is a bright young quarterback. Cam Scatterbo has a physical running style. But outside of that, they don't have a ton of optionality at the skill position. At the wide receiver specifically, little Jordan Humphrey, Wan'Dale Robinson had a nice game against the Eagles, a 35-yard touchdown. And they could have Darius Slayton back for this one. But I think that this defense should really be able to get after it. And the addition of Kobe Dean into the defense should help the run defense be able to bottle up and contain Cam Scatterbo. And then from on the other side of the ball, I think that the Eagles can certainly build off of what they were able to do against the Minnesota Vikings, particularly as it pertains to throwing the football.
Andrew, I agree. I think last time we all looked at their offense and were like, I don't see how they move the ball, how they challenge. But how does this offense of the Giants, what they did last time, I thought that stood out was they out-physicaled you. They out-muscled you, right? They pushed the Eagles all over the place. Why should we think the Eagles' defense is different this time around?
Well, they could have they're going to have Jalen Carter, which is he didn't play in that first matchup. They're going to have Quinyon Mitchell. They're going to have Nakobe Dean playing defense this time around. He played 6 snaps in the first matchup against the Giants. So you're adding some key pieces. I do believe that Jalen Carter, he's the one who gets things going up front. He's a physical presence. He lives behind the line of scrimmage. That hit that he put on Carson Wentz that resulted in the Jalen Hunt pick 6 rattled Wentz to the point where I think that changed the way that he was playing the rest of the game. But Nakobe Dean, and I want to circle back to something that I mentioned earlier on, he is a tone setter. He brings a lot of energy, and when he's out there on the field, he really can find ways to knife into the backfield and pop running backs for a loss. He did that to Xavier Scott for a 4-yard loss. And the Eagles tend to really thrive off of Nakobe's energy, and he's a natural-born leader. And I think when you bring in somebody like that who is really adept at stopping the run, you're arming yourself with better personnel equipped to handle it.
Andrew DiCecco, Football at 4. What does Dean bring to the defense, and how does it change the defense and the role of Jahad Campbell? Can you play those two guys together? Do they have to pick one over the other? How do you see that kind of materializing here?
Yeah, he brings leadership, toughness, tenacity, and an understanding of what the defense wants to be and what they need to be. They've got their swagger back after losing it seemingly against the Giants in Thursday Night Football. Once Dean was back on the field defensively, he's vocal, he's highly intelligent. His football intelligence is off the charts. And I go back to what I said last season. He was the heartbeat of that defense. So to have him out there, I thought made a noticeable improvement. But the Eagles have sort of a conundrum there at linebacker. Jahad Campbell's played very well at off-ball linebacker, just, for the first 6 games, really. And he played a lot of edge in his 7th game, but he did that out of necessity. And it worked out because the Eagles were able to get Nakobe on the field for 31 snaps, primarily when they were in base, and Campbell also saw some, factored into the equation and helped the defense. But that works for the short term. In the long term, that's going to be a little bit problematic because then you're going to have Brandon Graham in the fold. Nolan Smith will be returning at some point in November. And if they trade for a player, well, then you're all right there at edge and you have enough bodies to absorb those snaps. But then the question becomes, how do you allocate snaps at linebacker? I think the Eagles have to keep Jahai Campbell on the field. You don't want to stunt a rookie's growth who's made tangible strides each and every week. But I think situationally you can make an exception because of Nakobe's ability to defend the run and blitz and do certain things, especially in the goal line and short yardage situations. And I think that because of the talent that those 3 players have, maybe you are able to make a little bit more of an exception. But I can't really see Nakobe Dean there being room for him to play more than 30 or so snaps in a game.
No, Andrew, you're a guy who obviously studies the draft really well. When you looked at Jahad Campbell coming in, is he a guy that you think can rush the passer at this level?
Yes, but I was never under the assumption that was going to happen immediately. I personally scouted him as an off-ball linebacker with edge flexibility. But I think that's something he's going to have to grow into in experience, but also in developing his frame and getting stronger and things like that. He's doing it on the fly out of necessity because the Eagles need him to. But I think right now, Mike, he's an off-ball linebacker. He has the instincts, the range, the coverage acumen, his ability to be able to carry running backs up the sideline and defend tight ends. You can see his length and how that affects and narrows throwing windows. That's really what he's equipped to do right now, but that's not to say that down the line he won't be an effective edge rusher. I think that was very much part of the appeal of when the Eagles drafted him, having that multifaceted skill set.
All right, you talked about edge rusher. They brought in an edge rusher. It's an old friend, Brandon Graham. What does he bring in your mind? How do they use him? Obviously, he is a guy who brings a lot of energy, but is Brandon Graham the fix for some of the pass rushing problems?
Well, he brings leadership, he brings institutional knowledge and the ability to impart wisdom on players who are younger and players who are older. He's just a locker room pillar and a very positive influence. But you couple that with someone who is a good run defender. The last time we saw Brandon Graham, well, I guess really it was week 12 when he tore his tricep. That was his best game of the season by far, making plays behind the line of scrimmage and just all over the field. Then he came back in time for the Super Bowl, retore it, and he said that he feels like it never happened. He feels very good. But I think he brings someone who does believe it. He knows that he's comfortable in his ability. He stayed in shape. Now, realistically, you have to look at the snaps. I think once you get the first game out of the way, 15, 20 snaps would be realistic, and it should complement what the Eagles already have. You don't bring back Brandon Graham and expect him to all of a sudden front your edge rusher group, but rather to bolster it and provide capable play, and you couple that with his ability to be a really, really prominent figure in the locker room. That's going to be worth its weight, man. And I just think that he has a lot to offer. But expectations should be tempered because he's 37 years old. He had 2 tricep injuries, and you have to give it time to see what he's able to do from a conditioning standpoint and things like that. Vic Fangio mentioned retention and football shape, contact shape as being the 2 factors he was going to look at in determining how much and how soon Graham could help his defense.
All right, we're talking with Andrew DiCecco, Football 4. A couple more with him as the Eagles get ready for the Giants. We talked about last time the Giants whipped them. The Eagles' offensive line got whipped as well. They lost the battle up front, and they've been losing the battle essentially every single week. They have been outgained in every single game this season. Do you look at this offensive line? Is it something that can be fixed, or is this going to be a constant issue, not only this week, but for the rest of the season?
Well, it'll be a constant issue until they're able to be as close to full strength as possible. The bye week should certainly help. And if Cam Jurgens, let's say, can't play this week and it's trending towards that, well, I mean, that would give him some time to get off his feet and rest a little bit, recover. Landon Dickerson as well, he sorely needs to have some time to really rest because he's been battling through a lot of things. But when they're able to do that, when they're able to get as close to full strength, you'll start to see the offense take shape and be a little bit more balanced, run the football more effectively, and be able to really blow teams off the ball and revert back to that bully ball style that they want to be. I do think it can happen, but I don't know that they can get to full strength because there's not enough time in the season, even with the bye, to really afford them the period of time that they're going to need to heal up. It's going to be probably a grind, but the bye week certainly comes at a good time where they can have a little bit of a lull.
How would you handle if Juergens can't play? What's the best situation for the offensive line then, in your mind?
I would probably, just given the matchup with Dexter Lawrence being a physical player at the heart of that Giants defensive line, you would probably want to kick Landon Dickerson from left guard to center and put Brett Toth at left guard. Now, I say that, but historically, Jeff Stoutland doesn't like to alter multiple positions for continuity purposes. So you could also look at it and say, why not just keep Brett Toth at center and Landon at guard? Because if you remember back to the first Giants matchup, when Brett Toth started the game at left guard, Jordan Mailata didn't necessarily have his best game, and I think a lot of that was because he was trying to help Toth on that left side a little bit. So there are a lot of things to consider. Matt Pryor wouldn't be someone who I would imagine would be considered because he's more of a right side guy. That's where the Eagles have really utilized him in training camp. So that would really be it. And then Drew Kendall's a rookie center, and he played in just one game this season, just 3 snaps. I think that was the Giants game where Landon didn't play. So he's not going to be someone that you can really count on at this time, though Nick Sirianni seemed bullish on his progress. So to me, the logical choice is Brett Toth.
All right, we'll see.
I would keep Brett Toth at left guard.
I was going to say, we'll see if they end up. I was interested to see if they knew Juergens would be out, if they would make a change instead of just because, obviously Toth is more comfortable at playing guard than he is at center. So we'll see.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we'll see if they make that flip. Or, I don't know, do you think Kendall, if they know he's going to play, or is he just not ready in your mind?
I don't know that he's ready.
Okay.
And if he were, he would be an immediate reserve on game day. He's.
Well, I imagine the reason he's not a reserve
and,
now is because he only plays center, right?
Well, he plays guard too,
Okay.
but he's a center by trade.
Right.
But he does offer some guard versatility, which we saw in the preseason. But yeah, I mean, I just don't get the sense that he would be in the mix. It would either be Toth or Dickerson, being fulfilling the role as the center, and then the other one as the guard. They really like Brett Toth, and they've worked with him for a number of years, and that is their most logical option. They don't have a lot there, Mike, in terms of veteran depth that they can hang their hat on. So that's kind of going to be their pairing. They're a little limited there.
All right, we'll get you out on this. Andrew DiCecco's thought on this game. The Giants won the game handily last time. That game wasn't competitive for the most part. They beat you up and down the field. You said at the beginning you would be shocked to see a repeat of that. Overall, though, is Philadelphia's offense the reason why they win this game, or does their defense figure it out and just stifle the Giants?
I think their defense is really going to rise to the occasion here. I think they're going to take what happened personally, not only meet their physicality, but exceed the Giants' physicality and almost make a point that you're not going to come into Lincoln Financial Field and do what you did to them at MetLife. So, yeah, I feel like you're going to see them play with a chip on their shoulder. And, again, I revert back to inherent leaders like Brandon Graham and Nakobe Dean being a big difference in this. Even if Brandon doesn't play in this game, I just think that he's going to be somebody that gets guys going, gets the energy flowing, and then Nakobe on the field really setting the tone. All that, you couple that with having Jalen Carter and a healthy Quinyon Mitchell, I think that's a recipe for success.
All right, there's Andrew DiCecco, his thought on the Eagles and Giants. You can listen to the game right here on 97.3 ESPN. This weekend, Merrill Reese, Mike Quick have the call. The coverage starts at noon. The kickoff at 1. Andrew, thanks, man.
Thanks, Mike.
More football for tomorrow. Adam Kaplan will get you all the matchups and the injury report. We'll have that for you here on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN. We're live at the Chickies and Pete's at Tropicana in Atlantic City. And, of course, when Andrew breaks that down, he talks about the fact that the defense does have Nakobe Dean back, Jihad Campbell back. I'm very intrigued to see the snap count and where they play these guys. I agree. I think the Eagles are facing a conundrum here because soon enough when Nolan Smith is back, and I would assume he's back, likely after the bye week coming up next week, you put him back out on the field. That basically bumps Campbell from the role that he's kind of holding on to right now, you would think anyway. And then now you have the situation now where you have Campbell and Dean duplicitous in the position that they play. Who gets those snaps? Who's the guy that you say you're going to get a majority of the snap? And as Andrew said, I don't see taking Campbell off the field as being a smart thing to do, but that doesn't mean that not playing Dean is not a smart thing to do. So how do they work it out where they get those three guys on the field? How do they situate it where they can figure out the snaps? That is not something that is going to be easy. However, they've got to find a way to get more pass rush. And if Campbell doesn't show that he is a guy they can count on for pass rush, you would imagine that Nolan Smith gets those snaps back. Where are the snaps for Campbell and or Dean? That's one that I think is big. This game particularly. Let's dive into it real quick. Thoughts on the game. 609-403-0973. 609-403-0973. He's right. Listen, the Giants have been a great story, right? I was not a big fan of Dart coming out of the draft. So far, he's proven me to be wrong because of his energy and his spark. That doesn't mean he's going to go back there and surgically beat you with his arm. What he did the last time you faced this team was he extends plays. He's one of those quarterbacks. Sometimes those guys run into a wall where you show them some things that they haven't seen before, and you can only run your way out of problems for so long. It's like life. You can keep running away until you finally get caught. And I'm hoping this is the week that somebody catches Jackson Dart, because if you ask him, and you saw some bad decisions in the game that cost them in the game against Denver, and if Vic Fangio dials something up for him and makes him have to figure out a way to beat you with his arm, as Andrew mentioned, they are not loaded with offensive talent at the skill positions. The Scatterboot kid has been unbelievable in terms of his physicality. 19 carries, 98 yards rushing, 3 touchdowns, and a backflip against the Eagles in the game at MetLife Stadium. I mean, he was outstanding. Jackson Dart in that game, the highest QBR for a Giant quarterback going all the way back to 2006. So you take a look at what Dart has done to this team. He has provided an energy to this offense that nobody thought would be there, and we really didn't see much with Russell Wilson. So it shows you how much Dart has energized this team. You take a look at the Giants as a team. This would be a huge moment for them. They are looking for their first win in Philadelphia since 2013. They have an 11-game losing streak against the Eagles on the road. So they have not come here to Philadelphia and won in a decade. This would be a pretty big moment for their franchise, and the Eagles cannot allow it. Now, the Eagles are up against this Giants team who have not won back-to-back games in the NFC East since 2020. And that was, eons ago when you talk about who they had and who's here now. Flip side, as we mentioned, the Eagles have won 11 straight games in Philly against this Giants outfit. But they have been outgained in every game. I talked about it with Andrew. 7 games this season. They have been outgained in every single game, and they are outside the top 10 in pass block win rate, which means they're going to get pressured again from a good Giants pass rush. They have to figure out ways, and I asked that question at the end. Who wins the game? The Eagles' offense or the defense stifling? You notice what he said. He did not talk about the offense winning this game. But I'm going to say I think the offense is going to have to win this game. Because, as I mentioned with Dart, can you dial up some things that confuse him and make him beat you with the arm? Yeah, you better. But you saw the injury report. You got problems at corner. Now, you're going to have Jalen Carter back. He did not play the last time. It's also the game that Mitchell went out. You should be stronger in the secondary and stronger up front. But this offense, 24 points per game, 14th in the NFL. A lot of those points are coming off of special teams stuff, crazy stuff, big plays. I think there are big plays to be made against this Giants team. We saw Denver score 33 points in the fourth quarter. They did it with a lot of big plays. So that is where this game is going to be very interesting. The Eagles, can they get big plays again? Can you rely on the big play again against a Giants defense that's prone to giving up the big play? The equalizer here is if the Eagles don't have Jurgens, and it doesn't seem like they will, who plays center and what kind of pass rush the Giants can get. Because if the Giants can't get the pass rush, and as we mentioned, the pass block win rate is an area where the Philadelphia Eagles have struggled. It's an area where you think the Giants can be stronger. But Philadelphia averaged 14 yards per attempt against the Vikings last week. They only averaged 6.8 yards per attempt the first 6 yards of the season, 6 games of the season. But the Giants have given up 48 explosive plays. That's the third most in the NFL. The only teams worse, Cincinnati, awful defense. Dallas, rotten defense. And the Dolphins, hideous defense. The Giants' secondary is in that group. It all unfolds right here, Sunday, 97.3 ESPN. We're talking a lot of Eagles, a lot of Sixers with the win last night. We'll see what the Nuggets bring to the table today. You know, he's been all over VJ Edgecombe. The guy loves Edgecombe. Hard not to. Historic night last night for VJ, who absolutely lit the Boston Celtics up. By the way, let's not forget what Tyrese Maxey did. He had a 40-burger as well last night. It kind of gets lost in the sauce because of the debut from VJ Edgecombe. But Edgecombe last night, breath of fresh air. 34 points, Maxey with 40. They combined for 74 points from your backcourt. And the Sixers, look, that's a game. They won on the road against a Celtics team that's not the same Celtics, but it's a game the Sixers have lost 100 times over the last 10 years. They're down to a team that's lost some players. That's not what you thought they were. By the way, the Sixers covered last night. They were a 4.5-point dog. Embiid, we talked a lot about him earlier. Now, I did not know he had a minute restriction. Apparently last night they said he had a 20-minute restriction, but that's not really the story. The story's Edgecombe. Anybody texting in about Embiid, you've lost the story here. Yeah, Embiid sucked last night. It was unfortunate, but he was not part of the game plan, really. There was more like a ceremonial, you're on the court just to say, hey, you're active, get yourself going. This was Edgecombe's night. And the fact that Edgecombe and Maxey combined for 74, we've been talking a lot about, they don't really, like Embiid is kind of, him and George are almost like, I said, those two guys at their best make this team whatever. But even without them, they're starting to forge a new identity. We'll get into that. Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. The Nuggets are on the way. Knicks Nuggets coming up next right here on the Sports Bash Live from the Tropicana's Chickies and Pete's.
You hear that? That's the sound of your business losing money. Legacy phone systems weren't built for today's teams. Quo, formerly OpenPhone, gives your business a smarter way to stay connected. Quo lets you manage calls, texts, voicemail, and contacts all in one place so that you can deliver a seamless customer experience from ring to... Need to take calls on the go? Quo automatically transcribes, summarizes, and highlights next steps from every call, so you never miss a detail. Need insight into what closes a sale? With Quo's AI call tags, you can instantly spot key topics like objections or pricing questions and use those insights to level up every customer interaction. And yes, you can bring your existing number with you for free. Keep your team in sync and your customers happy with Quo. Quo. No missed calls, no missed customers. Try Quo for free at quo.com/sports and get 20% off your first 6 months. That's quo.com/sports. QUO.com/sports.
Progressive presents Employee of the Month. Small Business Edition. Today's recipient from Lucky Larry's Landscaping, Larry! Larry saved his business money with a quick commercial auto quote from Progressive. Does it help he's his own marketing manager, accountant, executive assistant, and never been late? Technically, yes, but saving really put him over the edge. So, Larry, give Larry a round of applause. Be your own Larry. See if you could save in as little as 8 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
At 431 Sports Bass Live. Time for the Nuggets are brought to you by the Hub Gear that works as hard as you do. Nick Earnshaw has Nick's Nuggets every day at this time. He's host of the Shift podcast. Also, he is host of the new Nernshaw Radio Mondays on his social media platforms. And he is the producer of the Locker Room Weekends on 97.3 ESPN. He's here with today's edition of Nick's Nuggets. What do we got, Nuggets? We got so much going on. I don't want to take up any of your time.
Oh, there's so much going on in the world of sports, and we'll try and fit it all in the next 19 minutes or so here on the Nuggets. I got a lot of nuggets for you today. First one is me and PG locked down the tickets for Saturday.
That's right,
We're
baby.
going to the nosebleed. We're locked in, ready to go.
Wow. That's a revelation. Now, I said you got to get there at a certain time. You got to tell the people where you're going to be and stop by and have a drink.
Yeah,
with
absolutely.
Nernshaw and with PG over at where are you going? Xfinity Live?
Probably, well, no, it's
That's what I
stateside live
said.
now.
Yeah, whatever it's called. The next sponsor name always gets kind of screwed because everybody remembers it as the original.
Well,
know.
Wells Fargo Center, Xfinity Mobile Arena.
Yep. Yeah. So now it's all different names over there. So we're gonna confuse people anyway, to say the least, when we tell them where to go, right? But with that, we gotta start
I'm
with
jacked,
the 76ers.
by the way.
I
Nuggets,
can't wait.
I'm jacked after last night.
Are we going to see another 30-point plus performance from VJ Edgecombe? Because he was fantastic. Nugget number one is just VJ. He was sensational yesterday, Mike Gill. We talked about it yesterday. What were you looking forward to more? And B, to see what he got, he didn't bring anything to you last night. He looked slow, was not great at all. And then VJ Edgecombe. We both went with VJ Edgecombe. We wanted to see what he was going to bring to the table. And, man, he did not disappoint at all. A lot of volume on the shots, but overall, I mean, just a sensational debut. His 34 points were the most scored in an NBA debut since 1974. Broke the Sixers' all-time rookie record for their first game. Beat Allen Iverson's record. Also, it's the third most all-time. Wilt Chamberlain holds the record with 43 in his debut in 1959. Edgecombe is the only one to do it in this century, over 30 points via Yahoo Sports. There, I mean, just unbelievable from VJ Edgecombe. And that's why I think there's a different vibe around this team, because you have a guy like that third overall pick. And by the way, pairing him with Maxey, ridiculous.
Well, yeah, I mean, listen, we said Maxey. I mean, we said Edgecombe. Now, by the way, I was at Michael Carter Williams' opening game. That was a triple-double that he had that night.
Yep.
I was there that night. He won Rookie of the Year that year. The question will be, can VJ have a better rookie season than MCW had that season? And look, the Embiid stuff, that's not the story of the game last night. The fact that he was out there is the win, that he's cleared the play. If you had expectations that he was going to have an impact in the game, then you're disappointed. I said all week long, the reason why you should be excited is because Embiid is cleared to play, but they don't need him yet. Because they have Maxey and Edgecombe and I mentioned Barlow as a guy that's a nice little piece. They have other pieces where they can allow Embiid to kind of work him in. If you watched the game last night and said, Embiid is shot, we watched the game differently. I'm not watching it for Embiid to contribute last night. I just wanted to see how they would work because, as I told everybody this week leading up to the game, the offense is no longer going to center around Embiid. They finally put an offense in with Embiid out of the focal point of the offense. And that's why I said, if Embiid can just play and by the end of the year work himself up where he's now Embiid again. He's not Embiid right now. That's obvious. He can't, Now, I will say I was disappointed in how he looked last night versus how he looked on Friday night. I thought he looked better on Friday night than he did last night. So that would be somewhat worrisome. Did he play Friday night and then the bounce back wasn't there enough for him? Because he looked way better Friday night than he did last night.
Yeah, I'm in total agreement. Like Friday night, you felt like he was moving. He was active on the defensive end, making plays, getting rebounds. He looked much better in the preseason game. Last night, not so much. And if you watch him play, I feel like that's what we're going to get throughout the season, right? Like one night he might look really good. The next night, he might do what he did last night, right? And not be great and look slow, etc. I think the bounce back is going to be interesting. That's why I don't think he's going to play when we go to Radio Row this year. I don't think he's going to play in that second game of a back-to-back in Los Angeles, right? Like, he's not.
No, he's not. I mean, they've already said. They've
Yeah.
already said he's not going to play, so that's 16 nights. Now, do I think that Maxey and what's it call it, Edgecombe are going to score 75 points every time they play? Absolutely not. But last night, those two kids bailed you out. But again, like I said, you should get McCain back next week. That kid can legit shoot and score. When Paul George comes back, he's another guy who should get you. I don't need Paul George to score 22 points a game. Can he get me 15, hit a couple threes? McCain, can he get me 15? You figure McCain last year was probably your best scorer and shooter, for the most part, when everybody got hurt. He carried that team. I'm interested to see how they work those guys. So they should have enough scoring where Embiid doesn't have to score 35 points a game anymore. That's the point I'm making. Last night, do I assume that Maxey and Edgecombe are going to score 40 and 34? Of course not. That's idiotic to even suggest
41
that.
minutes and 42 minutes apiece.
Yeah.
Well, and then when
That's the other
when
thing.
McCain is here, he'll fit into some of those minutes so that those two guys don't play 40 minutes a game. And then I do think it's going to be a little bit of an adjustment to see how he's going to get McCain and Grimes. Now, Grimes did play 32 minutes. They played the three of them together.
And he had a
last
couple
night
big
a lot.
shots. Like,
He
he
was
didn't
good.
have a great night, but he had a couple really big shots, timely shots that helped them get over the
5
edge.
and 5. That's
Yeah.
pretty good. I mean, that I'll take that from Grimes weekly. Or
Yeah,
daily,
you
I'm
don't
sorry.
need him to score 20, 30 points like he did, just at putting up empty stats for most of the end of the year last year, right? Like, if he can hit that big shot, it's going to be interesting to see how they rotate all those guards because I'll tell you what, something that worried me was the lack of transition defense. I mean, there were so many easy buckets Boston was just getting and killing the Sixers on in transition.
Well, a lot of that was Embiid not being able to get back up and down the floor. He was terrible in the third quarter
too. It was when he was off the court too. A lot of that time.
In the third quarter, he was atrocious. He was so bad in the third quarter. And I tweeted this out last week, and what I tweeted out was that if Embiid is the level of Embiid that you know and expect, your team could be very good.
Yep.
But they could still be really good even if Embiid isn't that version of Embiid because the surrounding pieces are so much better than they were last year. That team last year was just old, unathletic, couldn't score, couldn't create, couldn't shoot. This team is the exact opposite. They are young, they are energetic, they can score, they can shoot, they are excited, they have athletic ability, they can put the ball on the floor. They are the complete antithesis of everything that last year's team was not. Now, as I said, if Embiid is an MVP level player, and I don't know if he's going to be that guy or not, then your ceiling is you can win you can go as far as you want. If Embiid is the player he was last night, you'll be a good team, probably not a deep playoff run team.
Right.
But this season is all about the development of those young guards. Maxey, McCain. Now, Maxey's not developing, but he's still a young player.
But
playing together, developing those guys playing together. Maxey, Edgecombe, and McCain.
Maxey can develop into the guy now. Like, that was Maxey against the Knicks in the playoffs 2 years ago.
Yeah.
That was that Maxey.
And it gets what? It's funny. Like, it's his 6th year. Like, I can't believe it's Maxey's already in his 6th year in the National Basketball Association. Just crazy stuff. But last night, Edgecombe did a lot of crazy stuff, and he was fantastic, just all over the floor, energetic, finding himself around the ball, going in for some rebounds. I never thought I'd see a guy like that go get, right? So he did a lot of things that were very impressive last night. It's a good start. Hopefully it's a precursor of things to come for the 76ers and VJ Edgecombe's career, because Ace Bailey did not have a good debut. Just want to put that out there. All right, moving along, nugget number 2. Let's talk a little baseball and address some of the nuggets from yesterday. Dave Dombrowski clarified a couple of things for us. He was on foul territory today, and here's one of the things he said about Bryce Harper. We know everything that's been talked about, his comments during the press conference. Here's what he had to say about Bryce Harper on foul territory.
I take my chances with Bryce more than most because Bryce is an elite talent, and he's a very, very talented individual, and he's driven. So I think that it's a shame where this has gone, because it wasn't meant to be a criticism. It was just he didn't have to me, and when you talk about Bryce, and again, there's a few other guys, when they aren't in the MVP considerations, well, it's probably not as good a year as that they've had other times.
So there you go. Dombrowski also said earlier in that interview that he's not going to trade Bryce Harper, and his comments took a new life on social media. And he said it was actually like a compliment that when he was talking about Bryce, like he's had greater seasons, and we all know that. It was pretty obvious. But he also said that he views Harper aging like an experienced with Miguel Cabrera. So that was part of the interview as well. He also mentioned, he said, quote, "We know this is a real big winter time for us. We've been talking about this for weeks, and I've proposed something to John Middleton, and he's given me an approval on it. So I know where my payroll is, and it's still a very hefty payroll." So a lot of nuggets in that foul territory appearance there, Mike and Pete.
Yeah, and he didn't say much different than what he said after the season was over. I mean, he basically reinforced that I didn't say anything wrong. He didn't have an elite season, and which I say, I don't think Bryce Harper went home and put his feet up at the end of the year and said, man, I was elite this year. Like, he's not an idiot. Like, he knows that he wasn't good enough. I think Bryce Harper is a guy who understands that I wasn't good enough, and that's okay. Like, I need to be better. And I don't understand why it's such a bad thing for the person who's in charge to just say, hey, listen, he wasn't elite this year. Can he be there? I don't know. Like everybody else. Like we got people who text in, Embiid was horrible last night. He's horrible. It's one game. Like it's ludicrous to just write the guy off after one game to say that he's done. Get back to me after Christmas. If he's still this guy after Christmas, then okay, we'll reevaluate the situation. To say that Bryce Harper can't do this again, he's not wrong. If he comes out and makes the proclamation, well, I think he could be an MVP level player. Okay, you're just sugarcoating something that you have no idea.
Yeah. I'm glad he clarified it. I thought the comment regarding Middleton was also interesting as well, that he proposed a plan, set it in place, and he's got to go ahead with that plan. We don't know what that plan entails, but I'm sure there are going to be some interesting moves, to say the least, throughout the winter, and they're not going to trade Bryce Harper. It's just not going to happen. They can't. He has a no-trade clause, first of all. I don't think he wants to leave here. I don't think the Phillies want to get rid of him. They're going to try and go for it again next year. They're not going to trade their franchise guy that they gave all that money to years ago. It's not going to happen. I understand he's 33, but there's still some really good baseball left in Bryce Harper, to say the least. And I also want to address the Joel Embiid thing, where you made that comparison, people texting in about it. I sent you and Pete right before the Nuggets a little Joel Embiid calendar. It's like during the month of October into November, it's the is he okay part. And then through November through about March when he's playing, it's we are witnessing a literal god play the game of basketball. And then towards the end, season-altering injury. That's usually the Joel Embiid calendar. I saw someone made on social media. So I sent it to you. That's usually how it goes with Joe.
Yep, usually. Well, listen, he last year in the 19 games that he played, there was a night where he's dragging his leg up the court and he scored 40. And he scored 40 in the game.
I know.
So I think last night was a 20-minute game to get him out there and just kind of get him back in the flow of playing games. And I think you're going to see them handle him like this for a little while here. I don't know that they're going to say 35 minutes, you're back, like anytime soon.
Right.
And I think they're just going to say, hey, we don't need you to get hurt, and we don't want you banging down low. So you're going to see him hovering around the perimeter for a lot of this season, I think. And it's going to be an offense generated around those guards, with Embiid doing a lot of dribble handoff, a lot of screening. And then as the season gets deeper, I think you'll start to see them expand his role and his minutes, where everybody's now scouting you to say, oh, Embiid dribble hands off and he gives off to these guards. They're going to start getting doubled, pass the ball back to him, and he's going to have these wide open looks right in the spot that he feels most comfortable.
And Joel's going to have to accept that, right? He's just going to have to buy into that and be okay with, being out of rhythm at times, a stint here, a stint there. He's going to have to accept that.
You know what's funny? That Nugget started out as a Phillies Nugget, and we somehow ended back up with the Sixers. I absolutely love it. That's how excited we are about Saturday, PG. I love it.
I haven't been to a Sixers game in years, so I'm jacked up for it.
We're getting a free T-shirt, to say the least there, PG.
That's
All
right.
before I get out of
And
here,
they're playing the Hornets. All right.
Yeah, come on. Let's get another.
I got to
W,
brush
all right?
up on
I'll
my
tell you
Brandon
what.
Miller. Yeah.
Hornets.
Nipple.
If you watch Hornets last night, very fun team. Hornets, a lot of fun. Brandon Miller. That team is one of those like NBA League Pass type of teams. You just got to watch them. They are entertaining and they are fun. Like you just hear Hornets all the time, you just assume they suck.
Well, it's true.
Right?
true.
I mean, seriously, when you hear Hornets, you're just like, that team stinks. They scored 136 points last night.
Yeah, you're gonna need the Sixers to have much better transition defense on Saturday.
Oh yeah. Well, you think they got Brandon Miller, who Ball is a stud, Miller's a stud, Kaskey-Blomain they drafted. I mean, they've got some youth and talent on that team, and they can score. That's a team that can score.
All right, next nugget number 3. According to John Heyman, the New York Post, Nick Castellanos, if we remember, he went into the season. He's his own agent. He is no longer his own agent. He hired Mado Sports Management to serve him as his representation. So this kind of shows you, Nick might be on the way out. It was kind of alluded to during the Dombrowski press conference that they weren't really thrilled with his actions this season. So we'd expect it. We've been talking about it for a while, but now he's finally hired a new agent to represent him. He's no longer his own agent. That kind of gives you a clear idea of, it might be time up here in Philadelphia.
Yeah, he probably says, I need someone to make calls to see who has any interest in me, to see if they can work a trade for me. I contend, my prediction is that Castellanos will get traded to a bad team that essentially doesn't want to pay for a veteran player but needs some veteran help, and they hope that Castellanos gives him a good first half and that they can trade him at the deadline to a team that needs a bat. So a Pirates, a Royals, teams that are kind of at the bottom half of the league that don't want to spend money and have the Phillies pay to get a veteran right-handed bat and somebody that team can try to trade. That's the kind of team you need to look for.
Yeah, obviously they're going to be calling all over the place to find a team for Nick Castellanos to end up on. I think that'd be a lot of work for him if he had to do it on his own and by himself. So pretty smart idea to hire an agent. I wonder
if the Phillies called him and said, "Hey Nick, we're going to try to trade you. If you want to try to facilitate some trades, you might want to start making calls since you don't have an agent." And he says, "I'll get an agent."
Yeah, it's like, I'll spend a couple of bucks. I got one more year on this deal, making about $20 million. I could spend a couple of bucks here to help me facilitate a trade.
Yeah, that's the kind of team, though, I think. And by the way, Jim Bowden put out his list of teams that he thinks, or players, 10 players he thinks will be moved in the offseason. On that list, Alec Bohm.
Yeah, very interesting, to say the least. They've been trying to, feels like we've heard Bohm rumors for now a couple of years. We'll see how that all shakes out. All right, before I get out of here, nugget number 4 before I leave is the whole FBI investigation into Chauncey Billups, Terry Rozier, and them having a press conference in New York. I mean, this is an unbelievable story. This is maybe one of the most consequential sports stories, I think, ever, in my estimation there, Mike.
Well, on a day where college athletes, it was voted on today that college athletes can now bet on pro sports beginning November the 1st. So they announced that on the same day. Yeah, this is going to – when the betting thing got legalized, many people feared this is going to be the problem. We were just talking about this in the break, is when I was in college, you sit around all day, you watch games all day, you might have gone down to the local bookie and said, hey, here's a bet, $50 or whatever. And that was your day. That was the whole day. You sat and waited for the one game that you made. Now these kids sit on the couch all day with a phone in their hand. They can bet on every play.
Every play.
It's just not good, man. It's not good. And then, the one report, the FBI reporting that Damon Jones said he got information from LeBron James, that he wasn't going to play, so that he would tell everybody put bets on the Bucks because LeBron wasn't going to play in the game. So basically getting information and getting it out there before the bettors, before the information got out to the public.
Yep. And,
this
is Terry Rozier taking himself out of a game.
Look, there's already enough people who have conspiracy theories that think these games are all fixed. And you're going to have just more people who are just going to say, look, these games they're not real what I'm watching.
Yeah, it's a shame. Definitely a shame. All right, guys, 4-pack of nuggets for you today. PG, I'll see you Saturday.
Get that gas tank filled up, Earnshaw. We're
See you
going over
guys.
the bridge, baby.
You got tolls?
Yeah, I'm going to have those. Yeah.
All right, Sports Pass Live, 97.3 ESPN. We're live at Chickies and Pete's, of course, here in Atlantic City. You can stop out every Thursday, watch the show live. And don't forget, coming up next hour, One Thought Every Game. Casey Joyner, we got a big one tonight, Minnesota and the Chargers. I say big one because the Vikings season is in peril right now, as is the Chargers. The loser of this game could be in some playoff trouble. And coming up at 5:30, Michael Kaskey-Blomain from the Trust the Mikes podcast will talk Sixers with us here on the Sports Bash. Yes, indeed. It's a Thursday night. It's time for One Thought Every Game. You guys know the drill. We'll go through the Eagles and the Giants. It's time with Casey Joyner from The Athletic. He's brought to you by BMW of Atlantic City, where your luxury BMW experience is closer than you think. Take advantage of exceptional savings and experience luxury today at BMW of Atlantic City in Egg Harbor Township. The Eagles and the Giants. You know, the Eagles have not lost to the Giants in Philadelphia since 2013. That's the last time the Giants came to Philadelphia and won a game. Well, how will it happen this time around? We're about to break down the game and the matchup with the football scientist from The Athletic, Casey Joyner, who joins me right now on the Sports Bass Live on 97.3 ESPN. There he is, Casey Joyner. What's going on, friend? How are you?
Great. Looking forward to a good game tonight, too.
Good game tonight. We'll get to that one and one thought on every game coming up, but we're going to start with the Eagles and the Giants. The Eagles, they went there. I guess the most surprising, let's start with this. The most surprising thing about the first game was not only that the Giants won, is that they physically beat the Eagles up. Was that something that was alarming in game one?
Definitely so. It's happening too often for the Eagles that's happening, but the Giants are doing that to everybody. And I've said this many times. I mean, Daboll, he gets all kinds of grief, and, that happened last week. It's going to contribute to that. The guy knows how to play call games, and he knows how to play call games. He grew up in the Belichick system. He can throw the ball if he needs to, but he's an extraordinarily creative run play caller. He's up there. I mentioned Kellen Moore last year about how good he was at those things. Daboll is in that class. He can do that well. So, and he's got the people to do it. He's got Scatty Boo to do it. Now he's got Tracy back. He's got the players to do it. So the Eagles need to know that the Giants can do that. That's who they are. And the Eagles, they got to show they can handle that because they got punched in the mouth, and it's happening a little too frequently of late.
Well, let's go up front for the Eagles. Their offensive line, which has had some problems. How do they match up with the Giants' front, which is probably the strength of their entire team?
Yeah, the Giants have a terrific front four. And the only thing about the Giants, though, is that when it comes to, if you're looking at their run game, what they've allowed on defense, they allowed 4.9 yards per carry on planned rushes over the past 4 weeks. It's not a good number. You want to be, you'd like to be around 4 if you can be, and the league leaders would be down in the 3 range. So the Giants can be run on, and I think the Eagles need to express that they're going to do that. My concern is, as I mentioned last week, Saquon Barkley's broken tackle numbers are not that good, and I think they need to start doing a lot more creative things. I'd love to see them start to do some things with Jalen Hurts. I know you don't want to get your quarterback hit, but I'd love to see some read option stuff because I think the Giants would bite on it because he's not been doing a lot of that and give them other things to think about.
Yeah, the running game has been a problem. You mentioned Saquon. He actually said that he's part of the problem in the run game, but they might be without A.J. Brown this week. He's got a hamstring problem, hasn't practiced the last 2 days. But what did we see from their pass game that they can build on?
Well, they took chances. It really comes down to it. If you look at the Minnesota secondary, you look at their metrics going into last week and their coverage metrics, they're really good. And if you were putting into the game plan and you were basing it off of the metric, you'd say, well, I don't want to throw out those metrics. I don't want to throw out at players who are playing that well. But they said, we'll take 50-50 balls and we'll go ahead and throw it downfield. That's not who they usually are, but they said, this is what we're going to have to do against these guys. It might behoove them to do that because, look, the Giants don't have great people in their secondary. They seriously don't. Their cornerbacks are solid but not great. Javon Holland, their free safety, he's hurt, and his coverage metrics have not been that good. There's nobody. The only person in their secondary that I would be concerned about is their strong safety, Tyler Nubin. He's really good in coverage, but having said that, okay, you've got other players to go to. So, yeah, I'd like to see Eagles keep throwing some more like they did last week because they just took chances they weren't taking earlier in the year.
Yeah, and obviously, if they can move the ball down the field, that should open some things up for the run game. Is it that simple for them, moving the ball this week through the air? We shall see if that's the way they go. Let's look at the Eagles' defense here and kind of get some takes on what they're going to have Jalen Carter back in this game. He did not play in that game. How much does he change everything they do up front, and do they have enough pass rush to make a difference here?
It does help to have a disruptor like that because your offensive line has to, if you've got a player like that, your offensive line doesn't have a choice but to account for that guy, and it can change the way that they block, and it can do other things. Like if you know they're going to need to double here, or at least we can do things to make them want to double here, or they got to pay extra attention, now we can do other things. It is a huge, huge benefit for somebody like Fangio to lean on. So I think it's a big plus. Jackson Dart will throw interceptions, so you want to get a pass rusher in his face so he'll make those throws. You really got to do that. So this is one of those games where sometimes the Eagles say, hey, if we get a pass rush, fine. If we're not, we'll just go ahead and cover him. If I'm Fangio, dial up some blitzes, do some extra things, because if you've got to find a way to get some pressure in his face, because it's kind of like last week with Wentz, you can get a couple picks if you push this guy.
Yeah, and you take a look at the Eagles' secondary. That second corner spot has been a problem. And Neighbors being out, you're thinking, all right, they're going to have problems throwing the ball. But is that a strong suit for the Giants' offense now with Dart?
Dable is equally good at pass play calling. He knows how to play call people open. Bill Walsh said it. You don't have to have talent on offense. I mean,
we lost you for a second there. There you go.
Yeah, there we go. Wandale's good. Wandale's a solid receiver. So and Theo Johnson is somebody they need to pay attention to. There in their secondary. It's they need to pay attention to. It's something that they're going to have to keep an eye out for. But the Eagles' metrics early in the year, their coverage metrics were terrible. But I mean, over the last 4 weeks, Cooper DeJean 5.4 yards per target, Adoree 5.4, Quinion Mitchell 5.4, Reed Blankenship 4.6. Those are numbers you can live with. This in that area, this Eagles defense now is starting to look like what last year's defense was.
Well, I wonder, can they, Dart last time, I feel like they pressured him a bit, but he was scrambling and running and getting out of things. But can you, if you're Vic Fangio, what did you learn from that performance? Do you try to make Dart beat you with his arm?
You do, and you box him. You have to, maybe you have to spy. It's tough in coverage, but if you've got the type of receivers they have, you hope you guys can match up one-on-one. You got to spy the guy, and you got to box him. You got to do one of the two. You cannot let him get out and scramble. It doesn't matter. Just keep him in there. And that's one of the things. You want to get a pass rush. If you get it off the edge, you've got to make the tackle. If you're blitzing and you get in there, you've got to make the tackle. You've got to make him throw it away, do something, because you can't have him scramble around. You just got to box him in. And it might mean that your defensive ends don't move around as much, but if they go that route and say, okay, look, that's what we're going to do. We're going to blitz them to get some pressure, and we may have to try and blitz up the middle to get some pressure, then that means you're going to do some creative things in coverage. They can do that. They did it once last week, and they can do that, but that would be an alternative if you can't get the pass rush on those plays to go ahead and get some coverage mix-ups. Because, again, I think Dart will throw some picks if you give him the opportunity to do so.
Yeah, and he made some mistakes last game that ended up, forcing them to lose an epic collapse in there. But I'll tell you what, him and Scadaboo have given them a little something, and you wonder what is the modus operandi for the Giants offense. Do they go right back at the Eagles and say, you couldn't tackle Scadaboo last time, and we're coming with him again this time around?
I would think that is. There is a concern of, okay, when you have the collapse like they did last week, sometimes those things have a long tail. And depends on the coach and depends on how he handles it and things, but those things can carry over. Does the team think that? Are they concerned about that sort of thing? Because if you're the Giants and you go, well, hey, we're going to try this ground stuff in the snap niche, and that's where maybe the Eagles need to go and say, we're going to get you into a pass-first mode. We want to get you into scoreboard shootout. Because A, we think our quarterback won't throw as many picks as your quarterback, and B, your defense is kind of shaky after last week, and if we hit a couple of big plays, maybe you guys will collapse. If I'm the Giants, I probably want to lean heavily on the run because I don't want to give my defense a scare, because if they get a scare, you get a repeat.
All right, we'll get his pick on that game. And the ultimate matchup he's looking for from the Eagles and the Giants. Eagles are favored by a touchdown, 7.5, over-under 44.5. A little low on the over-under there. We'll see what kind of game this one is. Let's get into one thought. Every game, it starts tonight with the Vikings and the Chargers. You can listen to the game on 97.3 ESPN. Chargers a road favorite in the game here. Excuse me, a small favorite in the game, I should say, against Minnesota. Carson Wentz will start again. Chargers all sorts of banged up the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, losing Alton Pipkins, their tackles, that's a big thing for them. They're still throwing the ball very well. They've got some explosiveness downfield, and they can get after the Minnesota secondary. After last week, the Minnesota secondary, it played better before, but if I'm the Chargers, I'm going, hey, I know I can get deep in these guys. I think Jesse Minter's defense, as good as the Eagles' defense was last week, I think they can bait Wentz into even more mistakes. So I think that the Chargers are going to win this one.
Chargers tonight. Okay, one thought every game. Let's go to Sunday slate. Dolphins and Falcons. Dolphins have been miserable, but the Falcons is like they have one good game, then they have a clunker. They're a 7.5-point favorite at home.
And their defense has been very good against long passes, one of the best in the league. They pressure quarterbacks well. I mentioned all this, by the way, in my picks article that you can find at The Athletic, my confidence picks article. Miami does a lot of things well, but they don't believe in what the head coach is selling, and they allow a lesser talent. I mean, Cleveland beat them last week, and Cleveland doesn't have much talent. Atlanta has a lot more talent, so I'm going to take Atlanta big.
All right, Casey Joyner from The Athletic, one thought every game. Let's go to Bengals and the Jets. Joe Flacco was available. The Jets could have signed him, too. They have all sorts of quarterback problems, if you didn't know. Bengals, put it this way. This is how bad the Jets are. The Bengals are a 6.5-point favorite here.
The Bengals Flacco threw Jamar Chase 23 targets last week. 23 targets. They just said that, and they're just saying, look, we don't have much of an offense. Fine, we'll just throw a bunch of passes to Chase. It works. I mean, nobody can stop him. You can do things to do that. They still have Higgins. Chase Brown has looked a lot better. And, yeah, I mean, Tyrod Taylor, the Jets will do a couple things in offense. I like Mason Taylor as a sleeper pick in fantasy, but I think that the Bengals will win this game comfortably.
All right, one thought every game. By the way, speaking of fantasy football, don't forget Casey Joyner is contributing to the Matthew Berry Fantasy Life newsletter. How can people get that?
I can sign up for free. You go to fantasylife.com and you can find it there. Just signed up to start contributing with them. My first contribution comes out tomorrow morning. I'm going to give you 4 players you can get to help you through Buy-Mageddon.
Buy-Mageddon. 6 teams on a bye, by the way, this week in the Buy-Mageddon. All right, let's get one thought every game. Browns look like a real team last week. They played the Dolphins. Patriots, they look like a real team for 5 games this year. They're 5-2, and they're a 6.5-point favorite here.
Yeah, and Drake May, I mean, he's now one of the he's like top 6 in the NFL MVP odds. He's like 6th place. I mean, yeah, Drake May, he's that good though. He's looking like Costco Josh Allen, as somebody said in our chat room at the Athletic. Vrabel knows what he wants to be too. He's got that approach of, okay, we're going to play good defense, we're going to run the ball well, we're going to do a lot of percentage things. I got a good quarterback. Cleveland got past the spirit of Miami team last week. They don't get past these guys. I'm taking the Patriots.
All right, one thought every game. Bills and Panthers. Panthers, they win 30-0 one week, and then last week they could only score 13 points against the Jets. A little step up in competition here. The Bills are a 7.5-point favorite on the road. A little disrespect to these Panthers that have won 4 straight.
The Panthers are stopping the run very well. That's one thing that you got to worry about for the Bills. If you got James Cook in a fantasy league, you got to be worried about that because they have stopped the run very well. Buffalo can't stop the run well at all. So Rico Dowdle and Chuba Hubbard, those are good. They could have a good game. I think this game could be closer than expected because of that. Having said that, Josh Allen versus Andy Dalton, I'm going to take Josh Allen 7 days a week, taking Buffalo.
All right, one thought every game. Bears, they've won 4 straight. The Ravens, they've been a disaster. Season on the brink for them. And the Ravens, 6.5-point favorite here at home. I guess that means Lamar must be back.
They must think he is. He was limited in practice today, but he did practice. That's big, and that's the big difference. If he doesn't play, it's an entirely different team. The Bears can do a lot of things well. They can run the ball as well as any team in the league right now. I think this will be a run-based slugfest. I don't think the Ravens are going to want Jackson throwing 40 times or something of that nature. And they're not going to use him in the ground game very much either, but you got Tractor Cedar. You don't need to do that. So I'll take the Ravens to win it. I just think we're probably not going to see the Jackson that we normally see, but the Ravens at home and their defense have been playing better. I'll take them to win.
If the Bears win this game, they would be 5-2 all of a sudden, and this would be a big spot for them. This would be interesting for the Bears. All right, one thought every game, Niners and Texans. This Texans team seemingly has fallen apart. The Niners, they keep winning. Banged up, hurt, quarterback, doesn't seem to matter. They're on the road, a slight underdog here. Texans are favored by 1.5.
I think that's a big part of the injuries because, Kyle Shanahan, if you took Coach of the Year right now, I'd pick him because look at all the injuries they're dealing with. It's across the board. It's everywhere. Defense, offense, and last week Kittle comes back, but he does nothing. I don't think George Kittle is going to put up another goose egg on National Tight Ends Day. I think he steps up. Houston's going to keep it close because they're a gritty team and they're a well-coached team, and San Francisco's still banged up, but I got to take the Niners to win.
All right, one thought. Every game, NFC South. Bucks coming off of a loss. Saints have had all sorts of problems. Bucks going on the road and a 3.5-point favorite. We know they have a ton of injuries here.
They do. That receiving core, they're going to get Ibuka back, it looks like, but now you're getting Tez Johnson, who scored a couple of touchdowns. I don't know if he's your go-to guy. Got Sterling Shepard. Rashad White's been a step down from Bucky Irving. I look at all that and still, I look at New Orleans and go, they got Spencer Rattler. Kamara he's not what he was, and now they don't have Kendra Miller, so there are issues there. I just look at the Saints just don't have enough firepower, I don't think, to keep up. I'm taking Tampa by a small amount.
All right, one thought every game. This game can be heard on 97.3 ESPN after the Eagles and the Giants. It's the Cowboys and the Broncos. It feels like over every week for the Cowboys. Their defense has been a complete disaster. Cowboys, Broncos last week, huge fourth quarter. This game feels like it could be fun.
It could. Dallas, this is crazy metric. If they score 37 or more points, not 27, 37 or more points this year, they're 3-0-1. They don't score 37 points, they're 0-3. it's something that he's, and the Broncos, look, can they get into a shootout like that? They can, but they've allowed 23 or fewer points on 5 occasions. I think the Cowboys are going to try and get it into shootout mode, but it's in Denver, so I don't know that they'll necessarily be able to do that. So I'll take Denver to win this.
Ooh, okay, that would be interesting. Broncos sweeping through the NFC East. One thought every game. Titans and Colts. Colts right now 6-1. This is like a Super Bowl feeling team. Titans disaster. 2-touchdown dog on the road.
Colts have the best record in the NFL, and I don't think it's a fluke. They're that good. They are a very, very good team. You look at their metrics, they do a lot of things well. JT's not getting nearly enough play for Offensive Player of the Year. It's him and McCaffrey right now. You could make a case to the MVP because I don't think, Mahomes is playing at that level now. If it wasn't for Mahomes, you can make a case for them to be the MVP. In fact, I would put them in front of some of the quarterbacks because they're just playing that well. I don't think Shane Steichen's Cubs is going to take its foot off the gas. They haven't taken it off the gas this year, and I think they'll win this one big.
All right, one thought every game. Let's go to the Sunday night game, Packers and Steelers. We know the story's here. You got, obviously, Aaron Rodgers playing the Packers for the first time. Now, the game is not at Green Bay, so that takes a little of the luster away. But this Steelers team coming off a loss, and the Packers are right now the 1 seed in the NFC.
This is a tough game to pick because it's a really even matchup, but I looked at all. I've got like 10 different categories to look at for metrics and things, and this is a really close game. Green Bay gets the edge in rush production. Pittsburgh has pass blocking. They're very good pass blocking, by the way. They're one of the best pass blocking teams in the league. They do really good pass rush, of course. Matt LaFleur is just an expert getting his team to play at a consistently high level, and you know how Tomlin is sometimes to play good against bad against bad teams. And all. This is a good team. They're not going to step down from. They're going to Tomlin in this game. Having said that, I just think Green Bay has just a slight bit more talent. I'm going to take the Packers, but it's going to be real close.
All right, Monday night, we've got the game right here on 97.3 ESPN, the Monday Night Football game. It is the Commanders and the Chiefs. And, of course, you got the Chiefs. I mean, the Commanders coming up with no Jaden Daniels in this game. Chiefs, you mentioned Mahomes starting to play better. They're a 12.5-point favorite here.
Yeah, I mean, with Daniels out, they might get Samuel McLaurin back. That'll help him. Mariota's a good backup. I mean, he's not a great backup, but he's a very good backup. He might be top 5 backup in the league. He's that good, especially in this offense. But having said that, I wrote an article about Patrick Mahomes, and if he can keep up, he's playing at a QB1 base in fantasy. He's like the number 1 scoring quarterback, and he can keep it up because when you look at the number of things that he's doing, he's rushing the ball exceptionally well. They're allowing him to run the ball more than they used to, and he's got really doing well with passing and all that. Take all these things into consideration. I think at that level and being in Kansas City, I got to take Chiefs to win.
All right, Eagles and Giants, we'll bring it back to this one here. And obviously the Giants won this game the last time they played. They haven't won in Philly since 2013. Would you be shocked if they were able to sweep the Eagles? How do you see this one, the second match in 2 weeks? They just played 2 weeks ago, playing out this time.
I wouldn't be shocked if they won because they match up well in a lot of areas. It's not just Scatty Boo and it's not just Dart. They're doing pretty well in a bunch of areas. The Eagles have the better secondary. They've got a very good, much better passing game, I think. Even if A.J. Brown's out, I still take their passing game. And if Barkley, Scatty Boo, let's call that even. Last week's loss, though, I mean, the Giants are going to think, hey, we can bounce back from that. You're going from there and you're going to a Philadelphia team, a highly talented Philadelphia team that is really upset that they lost a couple weeks ago and they want to get revenge. It's one of those places where I think New York is going to be iffy mentally and such, and I think the Eagles will be fired up, so I think the Eagles will win this one. I won't call it a blowout and things. They're not going to win huge, but I've taken them comfortably in this game.
7.5 Philadelphia, that's the number. Over and under 44.5. Casey Joyner with one thought. Every game right here on the Sports Bash. All right, man, we'll catch up and look at Week 8 on Tuesday. We'll recap all of the Week 8 games. Thanks.
Thanks, Mike.
Casey Joyner. Don't forget, check him out over at The Athletic, and he's got his Matthew Berry Fantasy Life newsletter he contributes there. You guys all know Matthew Berry from NBC Sports Sunday Night Football. Well, Casey Joyner's a part of that. And over at The Athletic. I'm Mike Gill. This is the Sports Bash. Coming up, what else is happening? Well, Michael Kaskey-Blomain all over the Sixers. He's going to join us on the other side. What observations did he have from game number 1? Michael Kaskey-Blomain from 97.3 ESPN and the Trust the Mics podcast, which you can get on all podcasting platforms. He joins us for a little Sixers conversation. Is he worried about Joel Embiid And what about Maxey and Edgecombe, and how does McCain fit in, and what's this team really going to look like? What did we learn last night? MKB joins me next. All right, Sports Bass Live, 97.3 ESPN. Sixers win last night. You heard the game right here on 97.3 ESPN. And all Sixers season, you can listen to the Sixers. It'll be here Saturday night against the Charlotte Hornets. That game's 7:30 on 97.3 ESPN. Don't forget, Chickies and Pete's has all the games tonight. The Flyers in action. You can listen to that game on Rock 104.1. And Thursday night football, college football back underway. Not a great schedule this weekend, but the game I'm kind of looking forward to, Missouri-Vanderbilt. That game, Vanderbilt is in the top 10 for the first time since the 40s.
Wow.
Yeah. We're living in a world where Indiana is number 2 in the country and Vanderbilt's number 10.
And the Mafia is running things.
That's been going on for my life, the rest
okay.
of my lifetime. That's not anything crazy. All right, Sixers last night, we're going to be talking with Michael Kaskey-Blomain. MKB is going to join us, of course, from 97.3 ESPN.com, covers the Sixers. He will be back. He'll be at the Sixers Saturday night. You should meet up with MKB there, Pete and Earnshaw.
Yeah, we're going to be in the nosebleeds. You know, not quite the Josh Harris seats, but, you know.
You got to experience the game from the nosebleeds. It's going to be the home opener coming off of a win. Probably going to have a good crowd there. It's a Saturday night, 7:30. Probably, probably a good crowd. Probably, I would imagine, a sellout, right? If they don't get a sellout the rest of the year, this is probably the one that they do get.
Well, maybe when LeBron comes to town or Steph Curry. Maybe
True.
Those games.
Maybe you get
Knicks.
a game where the road team generates the excitement there. A couple thoughts on the game last night. We had a lot of texts earlier today. A lot of people surprisingly watched the game and were into it and got some sort of. And I kept telling people I understand there's people out there who probably had no idea who VJ Edgecombe even was. We're here today at Chicken's Pizza. Guy said, "Who's number 77 on the Sixers?" I had somebody ask me that question today.
You had a 77 out there, an 88 out there, a 99 was out there.
Yeah, so somebody asked me, who was number 77 on the Sixers? And I was like, well, they drafted him number 3 overall. His name's VJ Edgecombe. He's going to be pretty good. I think he exceeded everybody's expectations. So let's bring it all down. We'll bring in Michael Kaskey-Blomain from 97.3 ESPN.com, and he is the host of the new Trust the Mics podcast, which drops every Tuesday on all podcasting platforms. Michael Kaskey-Blomain, MKB, is back for another season. What's up, Michael?
What's up, Mike? How you feeling?
We're doing good. Obviously, last night, a lot of excitement around the game. I want to see how you take this game. Because there's some people texting in, obviously taking shots at Embiid. The other half is excited about Edgecombe. What's the story of the game for you last night? Is it, hey, Edgecombe looked great, Maxey was great, they held on to win a game that they probably have lost 100 times in the last 10 years? Or is it, that's all good and great, but if that's the version of Joel Embiid you're getting, the season is inconsequential anyway?
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely both legit stories, Mike, but to me, the bigger takeaway was absolutely VJ Edgecombe and how just great he looked in his NBA debut. One of the best debuts in NBA history. And, I mean, him being that good, obviously, it's one game. We have to wait before we jump to any crazy conclusions. But him being that good this early could completely change the trajectory of the Sixers, both in the short term and the long term. I mean, he's a guy already that looks like he could be a difference maker for this team right now, right off the bat, let alone 2 months down the road and then 2 years down the road. He could completely change the way you look at this team and how they're going to fare moving forward. The Embiid thing to me definitely was a concern. He did not look good. He didn't look right. But at the same time, I'm willing to give him, a little leeway. First real game since February, getting used to, coming off the knee surgery, getting a feel. He always starts a little slow. So I am concerned there, but to me, Edgecombe was absolutely the bigger story.
All right, so what do we make of the Embiid thing, though? Why? Because Friday night you're like, oh, this guy looks like he's lost weight. He looks like he's much more mobile. You could tell, last year he's dragging his leg up the court. He just looked uncomfortable to watch. And Friday night he did not look that way. So how alarming was it that he came out and looked very immobile? And I don't want to say that he looked lost out there, but he almost was like square peg and round hole. The team just he slowed everybody down. He just looked like out of place.
Yeah, Mike, this is one of the first times that you could really say that they looked better last night when he was not on the court. I mean, it's not unfair to say that. It's the truth of how last night's game looked. And it's probably a combination of things you and I talked about on Trust the Mics, that Nick Nurse is going for more up speed, high tempo offense up and down the court, more ball movement. That's, antithesis to what Joel has been asked to do for much of his career in Philadelphia. I think there will be a learning curve there when you have Maxey and Edgecombe and Grimes like flying up and down the floor. Joel could never really do that. And now at, 30 plus coming off knee surgery, he absolutely can't do that. So I think it's going to be a challenge for Nick Nurse to figure out a way where, you can use this high powered, fast offense and also cater to Joel more in the half court. I think that's kind of going to be a process for the next few weeks as we move forward. But, for Joel, I think he just has to continue to get his legs under him and get comfortable out on the court.
Talking with Michael Kaskey-Blomain. Of course, you can hear him on the Trust the Mikes podcast. You can read him at 97.3 ESPN. Michael, you look at Embiid and what he was on offense, 1 for 9. He played 20 minutes. But I thought on the defense is where he really looked like he was cooked on defense, and that was like, uh-oh. I wonder if you think, though, like, this is what he is, or you kind of talked about he hasn't played in 8 months, but do you think that they're going to use him like this for maybe a time to kind of get him ramped up? And then, because it almost seems like the offense is now, hey, Joel, it's no longer your offense, even when you are right, because the offense is kind of like dribble handoffs, a lot of him setting screens at the top of the key to get looks for the guards who could put them on the floor. And then if they converge on those guards, there's Joel sitting at his favorite spot, and he should get a lot of open jumpers. So do you think they're just kind of working him in to where he will eventually take his spot into the offense as a secondary jump shooter from the free throw line?
I think so, Mike. I think that's a good way to put it. I mean, I didn't love how much Nick Nurse used him at the top of the key in that game yesterday. I mean, we're never going to see the same Joel, down on the post for, possessions that we saw under Doc Rivers. And Nick Nurse had even said to us, like, coming into the season that it's less wear and tear on Joel if he's only running to the three-point line and then back on defense as opposed to going block to block every time he's out on the floor. That's like on purpose that he spends that much time. But it didn't look natural, and I think it's, like I said, it's going to be like a fluid thing where he's definitely going to be more of a secondary, like a jump shooter, it seems like. I think it looked like he had no lift, like he couldn't get up like he used to. The explosion was gone. And again, it's one game. I'm not going to say that it's permanently gone. But him being like a jump shooter, foul shot, nail, elbow type guy, I think that's where he's really going to be kind of living this season.
Well, and it seems like, that's the thing is he was out at the top of the key setting a lot of screens, but he's got that. That's the difference, though. You set those screens with the personnel he has. Those guys can finish. Those guys can get shots off. Those guys can create. They haven't had a lot of that before. That's why he is able to kind of take a step back role in this offense for the first time. Their offense has always been centered around him, and then when he goes out, it's a disaster. Now it looks like from training camp they started by implementing an offense that's not built around Joel, but built around the guards.
Yeah, 100%, and I think that's the plan, Mike. Like, they have these guards, they have this backcourt that's the strength of the team. Joel wasn't even able to, fully be a participant all throughout, like, training camp until he was getting his legs back. So they're all figuring each other out, but this strength of this Sixers team right now is clearly the backcourt. It's clearly the Maxey Edgecombe duo, and then you throw in Grimes and you throw in McCain when he's back. I mean, that's what this Sixers team is going to hang their hat on this season. And, what that means for Joel, I think is to be determined. We'll have to see in the coming weeks. But last night, I mean, he'll be better and more, you would assume he'd be more impactful moving forward. But, yeah, like you said, this is the first time that it looks like the Sixers might have other options where they don't have to run the entirety of the offense, through him.
Well, let's talk a little about, because Edgecombe last night, what does he bring, and what he adds a level. The three-point shooting you didn't anticipate. He shot 13, he made 5, but putting the ball on the floor, finishing around it, that was what stood out to me. He got to the rim and finished. He was like 7 for 7 in the paint. He was 5 for 5 from 3 feet from the basket. It's his ability to get to the basket and finish at the rim.
Yeah, I mean, that's his best trait, I would say, right now with his game. The explosion, the ability to get to the rim, and then the ability to finish. You're already seeing improvement from what we saw from him in college, what we saw in we saw him in Summer League, preseason. Like, the finishing at the rim has already improved, and then you combine that with the willingness and the ability to knock down the three ball, which was a question coming out of college, how good and how effective he could be from long range in the NBA. 5 threes in your first game. Obviously, 5 for 13 is not the best percentage, but I love the willingness And the mid-range is, I mean, he's a 3-level scorer on offense already with, crazy elite athleticism, great finishing ability. I love the rebounding. Like he there was a couple times where he just went into, the pile of the big guys in the paint and came out with the rebound. Defensively, he can get the board and ignite a fast break on his own. Like he's the complete package already, and that was all on display in the opener last night.
I said the same thing about the rebounding, the long rebounds, and then getting out. You and I talked about on Trust the Mics, the podcast, which was they miss what Ben brought them with that bigger guard that can rebound, and that's not me asking for Ben to come back. It's just that was something that he brought to them, was a bigger guard who can rebound the long rebounds. And VJ showed his ability to go. He was a dog last night. I mean, he's yelling at people, guard ball, get ball. Like, he is yelling at people to, get your focus in the game. But I don't want to take away from Maxey's 40 because he did not have a great shooting the ball last year. He was kind of uneven at times last year. 7 for 9 from 3, 40 points. And in the moments at the end of the game when you needed somebody, it was Maxey who was there. Those two guys together really could be a problem in the backcourt. So the follow-up question will be, I can't wait to see what happens when McCain comes back because I don't know where you're going to play him. They did play Grimes 32 minutes last night, and he hit a big shot late. Oubre hit the biggest shot of the night. But Maxey really got overshadowed by Edgecombe, but he had the bigger night, really.
Yeah, I mean, I think, it's the new shiny thing. Obviously, we've seen Maxey now in his 6th season. The performance from Edgecombe just in his first game, I think, deserves eclipsing the 40 ball by Maxey. But his shot making down the stretch, I mean, we've seen this before, Mike, but Maxey that guy is the definition of clutch. He's not afraid to take the big shot. He's not afraid to make the big shot. He can do it with a guy in his face. He can do it from 5 feet behind the 3-point line. I mean, he's made for the moment. We saw that in the playoffs at times against the Knicks 2 years ago. We saw it when Harden was here that he stepped up. I mean, he has ice in his veins for those big moments. And that the combination of him and VJ, I mean, I think they put all other backcourts, in the league on notice. There will be questions, obviously, about rebounding and where other people fit in. But that duo last night, I think, really came out to set the tone for the Sixers. And like you said, I was really impressed with Edgecombe's maturity and, the level that he was playing. It didn't look like his first game. Like, if you were just watching that, and watching how he acted on the bench and on the sideline and with his teammates, he almost looked like a veteran out there, like you said, Mike. So, I mean, I don't think you could feel much better about that backcourt you have with the Sixers right now.
Yeah, he didn't seem like he cared about yelling in someone's face or getting somebody more focused. Like, he was certainly like, I'm here to win this game tonight. And by the way, I got to give Kyle Lowry, my man was running up and down the sideline last night. He was into the game last night. Now, you watch those two guards. Where does McCain fit in? Those guys played 40 minutes each, which I'm imagining it's not going to happen. Grimes played 32. So how does McCain, in what he does really well, fit with what you watched last night?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question, Mike, and it's something that Nick Nurse is really going to have to figure out. It's a good problem to have, but, I mean, there was questions coming into the season like, would VJ start? I think, obviously, he solidified last night that him starting moving forward is going to be the plan. Obviously, you're not taking that starting spot away from Maxey. So, I mean, McCain, to me, looks like a guy that's destined to be coming off the bench. But I think he'll be in a role – Kyle Lowry didn't play a single minute last night without a true backup point guard. So I thought that was, kind of surprising. I was expecting him to get a little playing time under Nick Nurse. But I think McCain is looking like a guy that can come back and be, a lead guard off the bench for you and play – 20-some minutes, maybe eats in a little bit of the minutes that Quentin Grimes got. Maybe he eats in Edgecombe and Maxey both played 41, 42 minutes last night. Ideally, you're going to want to scale those numbers down a little bit. You don't want those guys playing 40-plus every night. McCain will be able to eat into a little bit of that. So, he's probably going to have to fight for some of these minutes with how good this backcourt looked last night. But I think there's enough room coming off in the second unit where he'll still be able to make his mark on the team.
I can't wait to see him fit in with this group here because you're going to get open looks. Someone's getting open looks. Someone's going to get the ability to put the ball on the floor, kickouts. Those three guys. Grimes didn't shoot it well last night. Hit a big three later on in the game. Oubre obviously hit the biggest shot, but who the heck is Derek Barlow is what everybody's asking and wondering. And I want to preface this by saying I mentioned Barlow on Trust the Mics. He was a guy that I liked to watch, as a kind of a role player who knows his role. The Sixers were playing essentially without three rotational players last night. George obviously did not play. McCain did not play. And Watford was not out there either. And you can make a strong argument that Embiid, a rotational player, a pretty good one, was not a big factor in the game. So you had four pretty key guys. But Derek Barlow had some key moments in that game. Is he a guy that you envisioned having a role and giving this team something?
I mean, not right off top like he did last night, Mike. I did not expect him to be a guy that would come in and immediately fill in a starting spot, and not only fill in, but be a huge positive, in the game and a huge difference maker. To me, obviously, VJ and Maxey was the big story and how Joel looked, but Barlow to me was also like a huge story. I thought he was really productive for the team last night and did all the small stuff that they needed him to. Like, I loved his activity on the offensive glass. He showed some really good finishing ability, like taking contact and still finishing at the rim, the rebounding defensively. The shot is obviously with him is the only concern. He's not a guy that is known to be able to space the floor, but he does almost everything else that you'd want him to do on a basketball court. So, I mean, I was really impressed with what we saw from him last night, and I think he'll continue to, play a big role for the Sixers team this season.
Transition defense a problem, no rim protection. We'll see what happens late in these games. Bona did not have a big role last night. They went with Barlow as the 5 late in that game. We'll see what happens when Watford comes back. For people who don't know who he is, very good player. I mean, 6'9", can pass, kind of a do-it-all, just knows that he's a role player, knows how to play as a role player, and that's something this team has really lacked.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this team, like on paper, they're going to be deep when they get these guys back. Because, like you said, this is 3 guys. It's not 3 fringe players. When you're talking Paul George, Watford, and McCain, these are guys that are all expected to play like a legitimate role for this team this season. So it's going to be a deep team when they're full health in the near future.
All right, Michael Kaskey-Blomain, you can read more on the Sixers over at 973ESPN.com. He's at The Real Mike KB, and the new podcast, Trust the Mics. MKB and I, every Tuesday, drop Trust the Mics on all podcasting platforms and on the X platform and on YouTube. So if you haven't checked this out, we are 2 episodes deep. We'll have episode number 3 on Tuesday. We go live at 11 a.m. All right, MKB, I'll see you then.
All right, Mike, good talking to you.
Amen. All right, Michael Kaskey-Blomain and I do Trust the Mics every Tuesday. And, of course, he is right here on the Sports Bash Live. He's been covering the Sixers for us for years, and we turned it into a podcast. You can check that out. It's called Trust the Mics, a Sixers show on all podcasting platforms. All right, 5:45. Hey, don't forget, my friends over at the Nizam's Indian Restaurant, when the Eagles win, you win this week. If the Eagles beat the Giants, you walk on in and say, hey, free order of spicy tandoori chicken wings, please. For dine-in customers only, you can't just walk in and take them with you. You got to sit and enjoy all of the smells and the taste and take it all in. The Nizam's Indian Restaurant, Egg Harbor Township, great lunch buffet on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and a banquet space for your next party. You can seat up to 100 people for private events and celebrations. Tell them Mike Gill from the Sports Bash sent you, and they'll take good care of you. All right, coming up, we're getting ready to close out the show with a thought on the Flyers game tonight. We got Sixers on. Now the Sixers don't play till Saturday. Aren't you like, oh, man, I really wish there was a game tonight or tomorrow. You got to wait till Saturday night?
Hey, man, this time of year, you got Flyers on every other night, the Sixers on every other night. Man, it's great.
Thursday night football tonight on 97.3 ESPN. We're back with final thoughts coming up next. All right, getting ready to get out of here. Thanks to Chickies and Pete's as always. We were at EHT last week. Had some fun over there. We're back in Atlantic City every Thursday. We'll be here next Thursday as well. And don't forget tonight, you got Flyers hockey taking on the Ottawa Senators. That game is over on Rock 104.1. Josh, did they announce the goalie yet?
I haven't seen the goalie
Ladar,
yet, but
I
I'm
think.
sure Kevin Durso's going to have the news at some point.
Durso's got the preview up on our Instagram page at 973 ESPN. But
You called me off guard asking about the Flyers goaltender after a Sixers day.
Well, I said before the break, coming up on the other side, I'm going to give you a Flyers thought. My thought is
doesn't mean that you're going to ask about the goaltender.
I thought doesn't mean I'm going to ask about the goaltender. I didn't say. I just said a Flyers thought. I could have asked anything. Would you have said you're going to be off guard?
I would have been off guard just for the goaltender.
Yeah, just the goaltender. So if I would have said, what's the first defensive pairing tonight, you would have had that answer? Get the heck out of here. Just say, hey, I wasn't paying attention. That would have been a better answer.
Sandheim's on the first defensive
Josh
pairing.
is the guy in the meeting today that's yelling at everybody. I want to know what you're doing at your job. He was on a rant today. Don't ask me what I'm doing at my job. What are you doing at your job? Josh, I asked you a simple question. Who's the goalie tonight?
Kevin Durso just joined the chat. He says Vladar is the starter
Vladar.
tonight.
Look, Durso's paying attention. He's not even in the room. Good 2 points for Durso.
See, now you're saying this like you act like I don't do anything all day. Come on.
That's not what I said. I asked a simple question. I expected a very easy answer here, and Durso provided that answer. Durso. Vladar.
Good job, Durso.
Tonight. There we go. So Vladar, and my point I was going to bring up, was I've been getting text messages from people that want to know why Vladar hasn't been, quote-unquote, named the starter, to which I said Tocchet announced at the beginning of the year that they were going to rotate the guys, and then eventually I would imagine after X amount of games he would start to lean one way. Well, I think you're already starting to see he's leaning one way, right?
Just
Correct.
like Topper's bullpen, right?
A little different, but sure.
No, it's the same. until they
Topper's
got to
bullpen
run.
took the whole year to materialize. This has taken 2 weeks.
Well, hockey moves at a lightning speed.
Well, follow Kevin Durso tonight at Kevin_Durso for the Flyers. See, he had the answer to the quiz. Who's the Flyers goalie tonight? Dan Vladar. He'll be in goal tonight. You can listen to that game on Rock 104.1 and the Rock 104.1 free mobile app. All right, tomorrow it's a happy hour Friday. We're getting you ready for the Eagles and the Giants. Sal Palantonio on tomorrow's show. Have a great rest of your night, everybody. We'll talk to you right here on the Sports Bash.